Welcome to Armchair Expert, Experts on Expert. I'm Dan Shepard. I'm joined by Lily Padman.
Hello.
This episode took us to the far reaches of the globe.
It did.
Into the South Pacific.
Ooh.
To the enchanting island of Oahu. The North Shore, where we sat down with Kelly Slater, the greatest surfer of all time, by a long shot. This motherfucker has 11 World Surf League championships, holds 56 championship tour victories. He is the subject, one of many, of a great show that I started watching in anticipation of this interview.
Yeah.
Truly great. If you love Drive to Survive, which we all do, same folks that make or break on Apple Plus, make or break. If you go through the first season, it's phenomenal. You're going to get hooked on surfing.
Yeah.
But first season, I'm like, I want a little more Kelly Slater. Then the second season hits, and they give you Kelly Slater right up the wazoo.
Yeah.
Big, fat episode 1 of him in this
His
most
background.
improbable victory at Pipeline.
Oh, so
at
awesome.
50 years old. It's so incredible. Super lucky and flattered to have gotten to meet and talk to Kelly Slater.
Very, very cool.
I think you'll hear in our voices in this interview that we are in a total state of stress abatement.
Yes.
We were at the famous Turtle Bay Resort, made famous by forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yes, they shot that movie there.
You watched it several times in anticipation.
I did. I watched it while we were there so I could, eventize.
Live inside of the film.
Exactly. And man, it's so beautiful there.
Yeah, what an incredible place, Turtle Bay. Had so much fun. Please enjoy Kelly Slater.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Get some multiple angles, Link, okay?
Yeah,
Not too low. Not too low.
Yeah, be
generous.
be conscious of the fact that he and I are both aging males. So
Be
like,
productive.
And that I hate most pictures of myself.
Okay, so you haven't heard, which is fine. It's a podcast. Are you familiar with those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we did just have someone on who was not familiar.
Who?
Were they podcasts in general?
She was like, I don't know about
Oh my God, what timing?
Pamela
You were
Anderson.
nervous to say that, weren't you?
a little bit.
Pam's never heard a podcast?
No. And even more specifically, the whole genre of podcasting is elusive to her.
Yeah.
She was like, I don't know what you would call it in France. That
Yeah,
was a
she didn't like
question.
Is she
The
living
word.
in France now?
She's in France. She's
I
relocated to
don't know.
France.
I haven't talked to Pam in like 10 years, so I don't know.
Well, there's a documentary.
I know. I'm friends with her kids.
Oh, okay.
And I
that's
just saw Brandon had posted.
I think they made it with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool. That'll be interesting to see.
I imagine, yeah, for you, I will say, just to alleviate any fears you may have, very, very positive towards you.
I mean, we dated and there was weirdness, but we've always remained friends, and that's good.
That's nice that you still talk to her children.
Well, one funny part, I will say, just to talk out of school, but it's fine because it airs on Monday and we talk about it and it's great. When she was referring to Bob, so I want to go to Michigan for
Kid.
Bob.
Yep.
Yeah, Kid Rock. She has no clue that Kid Rock's named Bob. So she's these things. Wow, Pamela thinks that everyone knows a guy named Bob in Michigan.
I thought it was like someone who ran a sports team. That's what in my head I went to. I was
So you're
oh.
she doesn't know anything about our podcast, and she's like, she knows nothing about Kid Rock.
She's assuming. Well, I know Kid Rock, but I did not know his name was Bob, and now I understand why
You
he
don't know my
changed
name is
his
Bob
name.
either, do you?
I didn't.
My first name is Robert.
Wait, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
When do you start going by your middle name?
My mom never called me Robert. Kelly from day one.
Okay, you have how many brothers? 2?
2, older and younger.
How old's the older one? What's the age gap?
3 years and then 6 years below me.
Okay, I had a brother 5 years older. Pretty helpful in ways.
And also a dick.
Yeah, beat the shit out of me hourly. But again, it sucks while it's happening. But then when I started wrestling kids my age, I was like, oh, wow, I'm kind of
I'm
powerful.
smoking these guys.
Yes, I'm very powerful. I thought I was a weakling.
I always point that out, that I think my surfing advanced really quickly because, I mean, I played football, baseball, basketball with all the guys that were 3 years older than me because of my brother.
Yeah.
And I surfed with all of them. So my level was above the kids my age because I had to be.
Well, if you're like me, I was like, I'm the worst skateboarder in the world. I don't know why I do it. And then I started doing it with peers in junior high, and I was like, oh my, I'm the best one in my junior high now. I was the worst
for the last 3 years, and now I'm the best. It's a good feeling.
So you just became like total egomaniac and like right away.
Yeah, megalomania. I've even passed egomania. But I saw some great footage of you boxing, who I assume was your older brother, in the front yard of your house.
No, that
Who
was
that?
this bodyboarder guy.
But he seemed to be much older than you.
He wasn't much older, but he was like a foot taller.
Yeah.
I was like my height now, I think, but I
Okay.
hadn't put on any. I was probably like 140.
And the guy had seemingly a 7-8 inch reach advantage on
He had
you,
about a
too.
12-inch reach advantage.
my.
And he was super aggro because
Yes, he was not.
yeah, I've gotten made fun of that my whole career because I got beat up by a bodyboarder. So, and there's like a thing between bodyboarders. I'll just call them boogie boarder because they hate being called boogie boarders. No, but there was always a thing between surfers and bodyboarders. And he had to stand up for the bodyboard community. But he had this
Sure.
whole shtick where he was going to beat my ass. I thought we were just going to goof around and like patty cake it,
Yeah, yeah.
And I showed up and he's like throwing bombs, overhead rights. I'm like, whoa, this guy just hit me in the head. I got a headache now.
Okay,
And,
that explains
yeah.
so much of it, because I got to say, when I was watching it, I thought, if this is your brother and your folks are inside, the rules are different in your house. What the fuck? Hold on, I'm too loud. Check. I must be one. Yep, I'm one. So sorry. We're never out of the studio. This is the first time we've ever traveled for a guest.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sound perfect. You've never sounded better.
Don't you fuck with us.
Okay, that
I'm lip syncing into the mic. Right? My dad told me when he was in school, he had a teacher that had a hearing aid, and they would read, and they'd be like, and then Mike went to the, and then the dog bit his, and the guy would start checking his.
Oh, kids are so cruel.
Well, anything's fair with a teacher. There's
Yeah.
zero compassion shown
I had
to
a
a
teacher once named Mr. Hicks. He might as well have been called Mr. Dick because he was just an asshole. No one liked him. And my 3-year-old brother, he went through all the teachers before I got there. I was a good student. I was respectful. My brother and I had different personalities. I was like teacher's pet my whole life, but I would have to work my way in there.
He put you in a hole.
Oh, I mean, I know where but up to go. So it was, in a way, it was kind of
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
But we get into Mr. Hicks' class, and it was like pre-algebra, algebra in like 7th or 8th grade, and it was like an advanced placement class. There was only 7 of us in the class.
Focus.
We get into class the first day. He's got a speaker and a lapel mic.
For 7
For
students.
7 students. And we're like, this guy's an asshole. I mean, you're going to make fun of that guy.
He must have a podcast now because he must have loved his own voice.
Yeah, maybe he was a troll and he was doing that just to see how we'd react. And now he's like really funny. Yeah. He's like a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Back when I was teaching, by the way, you probably thought he was 49 and he was probably 27.
He was up there in his 40s, I would say, at least.
But can you be so sure?
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
When
like
you're
where we thought our
little.
No.
teachers were so old, but now we realize, no, teachers are like 28 years
Because
old.
old people were assholes back in the 80s, you know?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
They made no apologies.
He thought that he was going to force respect on his classes, and that's why none of the kids liked him, because he couldn't earn it.
Yeah.
And he gave me a B for my grade. I would have had straight A's this 6-week period, and he gave me a B. I had like a 96% average.
You're kidding.
Yeah, and I was so
He's like a
pissed about
dirty
it.
cop.
Yeah, and my mom wouldn't let things like that slide. She's like, I'm going to go fucking speak to him, you know?
Yeah.
And she runs in to go speak to him at the school and sits down. And he tells her, well, Kelly may have gotten that score, but I subjectively graded him. And I don't believe he's an A student.
What?
Yeah.
That is not. Oh no.
Wow.
Drunk on power.
He just couldn't get that respect. But it dug him deeper in a hole.
Okay,
Yeah.
but if we explore some personal responsibility, what possibly might you have been doing that made him
Look at
think he's
him.
going to punish? I know right now he's reading as very respectful.
I was
and-
probably a little bit of a smartass to him, but I wasn't enough to get in trouble. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like, he
okay.
couldn't do anything to send me to the principal's office, but I didn't like the guy, and I was nice enough to get by.
I think
wasn't.
you were too handsome even at that age, and he was upset
He was
and
jealous.
jealous.
Oh, gosh.
That's what
that's
it
hard.
was.
I did poo in his table one day.
Shitting up his top drawer of his desk.
Upper decker, just slow. No, I just.
Can I tell you? So I was in these gifted and talented classes. The kids thought I was in the wrong room, I guess is what I want to say.
Were you?
No, I was in the correct place. But when I would show up, a lot of the kids were like, oh, God, the dumb kid, he's got the wrong room. But then I would act the part because I had an AP class that was taught over a TV at another high school because we didn't have a teacher there fit to teach this AP history class. And it was at another high school, and we would come in and report, and there's just TVs in the corners, and then they're filming us. And I would smoke cigarettes in the back of the classroom because there was no teacher in there.
So you proved everyone right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm relating to is that I was in those classes, but maybe unconventionally so.
There's always that one kid.
There is.
Did you feel like you belonged with those other smarty pants?
I thought I did. I was kind of cool with everybody at school. I got along with the nerds, and I got along with the bully jocks, and I got along with the emo kids.
I was assuming maybe that you were punk rock in some nature.
No, I was pretty mellow. In kindergarten, first, second grade, I was like a bully. I used to beat everybody up.
Okay.
And I was like the tough kid. I've looked back and tried to psychoanalyze myself, and that was around the time my parents split up. And then my personality just changed. I got a lot more sort of introverted at that time.
Post-divorce.
Post-divorce, yeah.
Okay, because I hate to admit, I was a bully in elementary school. But again, I had an older brother who was kicking my ass all day when I was at home. And then when I got to school, it was incredibly empowering that I wasn't on the business end of these meetings. And then also stepdad in the house who was violent and a maniac. So going to school was like the only place I felt like I had some power.
Yeah.
What age were your parents?
Stepdads could be dicks too,
Did
right?
you have any?
I did. My mom, she's been married twice since my dad. She's currently still married. Her second husband, I got along okay with him. Him and my brother got in actual fist fights. He was just very different from us. We were like surfer kids, and he was a mechanic and kind of a redneck, and everything about him, the way he dressed, everything was just so far removed from what my dad was. My dad owned a bait shop, and my dad just liked to drink and surf and fish and camp and be outdoors and scuba dive. Anything in and around the water. And then my mom married a guy who was so different. It was really hard for my older brother. It was weird for me. I didn't mind him a whole lot if my mom was happy. I think my older brother saw it as like someone replacing my dad in the house, and that was offensive. My brother was now the man of the house.
Yeah.
He was 17, 18. I was 14, 15. It was very strange because he was technically homeless when my mom met him.
Oh, wow.
The mechanic?
Yeah, he had just gone through a divorce with his wife. So he was paying child support and didn't really have money to get his own house. And his son lived in the apartment building we were in, and he would live in his van in our driveway.
And the ex-wife lived in your apartment
The
building?
ex-wife lived in our apartment building.
Oh, wow.
So he moved next door?
He moved in with us, and we were in a 2-bedroom place. My mom had the bedroom downstairs. There was an upstairs bedroom and kind of an open loft area. And my older brother and I slept in the loft area. And my little brother had the back bedroom. For whatever reason, I just like to watch TV and go to bed. So I slept on the couch downstairs. And we had these 2 couches, kind of like an L shape. And I spent most of my teenage years sleeping on that couch. And all of a sudden, one night, he's sleeping on the couch next to me.
No.
For a couple of months.
Oh,
and I'm like, fuck, this is weird, man.
Yeah. Really quick, had you known him from the apartment building prior to
Not
him?
really, no.
Okay.
I mean, I only met him because my mom got to talking to
Right.
him, and they started like going on dates or whatever.
Wait, so he was sleeping on the couch, not in bed with your mom?
Yeah, it was like beginning of their relationship, and my mom didn't want him to
Taking it
sleep out in the
slow.
van, so he's sleeping.
But she wasn't ready to have him like move in
Yeah,
and
and so-
introduce him to you guys as
Oh, this is
the new guy.
very-
Yeah, so it was really odd for me at first because that was like my bed, and so now the guy's like basically sleeping. Like it was very weird. It was a rebound for my mom and for him, and they ended up a few years later kind of having a bad split, and he didn't get violent, but almost. And then I threatened him. It got weird.
Yeah.
I went to his house with a baseball bat, basically, and said, "I'll kill you if you touch my mom."
There we go.
You know, I was like 22. I literally banged on his door, and I had a bat in my hand, and I'm like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you." And he was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" And he's like, "Hold on, let me talk. And then he explained his side of things. I let him talk. And I said, if you even threaten to lay a finger on my mom, I said, I'll tell my brother and my friend Drew, they'll kill you. They'll like, they won't be kind.
Yeah,
Like my
yeah.
brother and him had already fought, you know, and I don't know if they would have killed him, but they would have beat him up.
Was he victorious, your brother?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I mean, my
it was
brother
a
was
draw.
like an 18-year-old kid, and
Yeah.
and he was a man, you know.
And a mechanic. He had strong forearms.
Yeah. I was in the house when it happened, when they started fighting, and I just remember hearing a glass table break. And I think my brother's head hit that table and broke it or something. Like landed on it. And my little brother and I were in the house. My little brother was 10. We lived on the water, and I ran him out to the dock. And I said, "You stay here." And I ran back inside, and I jumped on my stepfather. And I tried to just wrestle him from behind, you know, and hold him. And my brother got up and ran out of the house. And then slept on the beach that night. I've never really talked about that. It was weird for me, but I think it was super hard on my older brother. He was just trying to become a man and had this guy in the house he didn't like. And
Yeah.
it was kind of a shock to his system.
He might have sensed that she was getting taken advantage of.
Well,
also.
I think my brother was starting to kind of go out and party a little bit too, and stepdad was calling him out on it. So there was that dynamic also, and he's like, "You're not my fucking dad. You're not
Yep.
going to tell me what to do," you know? He didn't feel like he had a right to have an opinion about my brother's life, which in a way he didn't.
Yeah, I've talked about this a lot on here. I had 3 stepdads, and it's a very bizarre experience.
At
to
once?
Have, all
At once? Yeah,
My
wow.
mom was reverse
I just
fundamentalist.
saw a show about this.
Yeah,
It's like the reverse polygamy. I forget
yes,
what they call
reverse
it.
Mormon fundamentalist.
Yeah.
She was an inverted fundamentalist. Polyandry, I think.
Polyandry, that's the word I was trying to think of.
Polyandry.
Wow.
There were some cultures in the Andes. There have been a couple hunting and gathering
Bees.
studies. Bees, there you go.
Bees.
Mhm.
Queen.
Queen bee.
Queen.
But yeah, the notion of a strange man entering your home and all of a sudden he's in charge and it's his game plan is fucking so weird.
Yeah, I've talked to a number of friends who've been married and tried to put families together, different kids in the same household. If you could blend that, you're a magician.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
It's a hard thing.
So my brother too, I've watched him fight 2 different stepdads. Same thing, you're in the house, you hear glass breaking, you hear people screaming. At the time, I don't know how you felt, but it's just kind of happening. And I don't think till later you meet other people and you realize, oh, they didn't see that violence all the time in their house. And you start wondering like, I wonder what course that set me on. I mean, I know enough about psychology to know like I'm very comfortable in a very heightened arousal state.
I have this weird thing where there's especially in a few years of my life where a bunch of crazy things happen and I was always there. Car accidents, drownings, hit and runs, stuff like that, where I was like the person on the scene. And I just went into autopilot and just started handling the situation. I'm pretty calm in like heavy situations. And I think it's probably from that training I had in my family.
Yes.
Not exactly what it was supposed to be, but
Comfortable with chaos.
You know, I've talked about it a lot. My dad was an alcoholic, and him and my mom didn't really have a great relationship, and eventually obviously led to their demise. Being around that, you learn how to manage the situation naturally. And it seems normal, I guess. But I was talking to my mom the other day. You know, I acknowledged, I know you did the best you could. At the same time, there's no way I could imagine my kids growing up in that situation ever. And my girlfriend and I talk about that if we have kids, I couldn't ever imagine my kids being in the situation I was as a child where you got to leave the house as a kid because your parents are screaming at each other and you're sleeping outside on the concrete and you're crying all the time because you're so scared. Is somebody going to kill each other?
Yeah.
Is somebody going to leave and never come back? My mom used to always say, I just want to get in the car and drive away and never come back. And I'm 6.
Yeah, it's
you know,
like
what?
not comforting.
Like, you don't say that to your child, you know?
Yeah.
But she didn't know. My mom was like a child herself. I mean, she
Yeah.
wasn't a very young mom. She was just normal, like late 20s to early 30s. But she was terrified with the state of my father all the time. And my dad was happy as a clam. He was just out drinking and
Living his life.
Yeah, and he was super nice to us. You know,
Yeah.
like my dad never like beat us up. Or I didn't
Yeah.
go through that kind of thing with a dad who drank.
I just have to tell you, similar to the apartment story, we move out of the family house. My dad keeps the family house. He's a car salesman. We moved to this welfare apartment setup. I would
How
go
did
home.
your dad pull that shit off?
He was very charismatic.
Jeez.
So my brother and I would go to his house on the weekends, and all of a sudden there was a dude from the dealership he worked at, Greg, who's living in our bedroom, my brother and I's bedroom. So he took on a roommate, this guy Greg. Very nice guy. He was lovely. And then about 6 months later, Greg starts coming over to our apartment, and then Greg moved into our apartment. So Greg went from my dad's house, they were coworkers, met my mom in the mix, and then my mom married him. And so he moved from our childhood bedroom in our old house into our apartment.
That's bizarre.
Weird.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's
It's
a
a
similar
lot to
trajectory as the
process.
dude living next door and then being on the couch.
That's even stranger.
It's
I
pretty
think
strange.
my mom just felt bad for the guy. Like, it's either too cold or too hot out there. Come in
I
here.
don't know if my mother had any compassion for Greg, but maybe she too felt bad for him. I don't, he was living at my dad's house. But at any rate, I do think what you also get really good at is
Surfing.
you get really good at
You
surfing.
get good at
Surfing.
surfing because
No,
you
you
don't
get-
want to be in the house.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. You missed your calling.
No, this is why I relate, because the things I were into, like BMX, I could go out on my bike on my own. I didn't need anything. I could
Yeah.
disappear there. Then skateboarding, you're in your own little
Yep,
world in a
yep.
parking lot for 6 hours. All that
As
escape.
opposed to a team sport.
Yes.
Yeah, see, I was pretty good at team sports, but I never really liked them. I did like baseball a bit. I wasn't that good at basketball, but I was good at baseball. I was really good in the field.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really good at football because I really understood the plays and the movement. I could see it
You could
before
predict it.
Yeah, I was like a real student of football as a kid. I watched every football team on TV. I played on teams, but surfing just won out because it
Yeah.
was individual. And I was like, my own mind determines what I'm going to do here. All choices are all mine.
Yeah. Full control.
Yeah.
I will say, too, the sports I was drawn to, I also liked them because no one had an advantage if they had a dad around. When I played soccer, I was playing against kids their dads were practicing with them. No one's dad was skateboarding with their kid. No one's dad was snowboarding with their kid. So to me, it felt like I entered in a level like, oh, great, no one here has anyone guiding them through this. We're all figuring this out. Among peers, you're like looking to your peers to instruct you, not an adult, which was helpful. But I have one last question about childhood. Are your spidey senses great? So even if your dad wasn't violent to you, I have to imagine you're really good at detecting the atmosphere in the room and when things are about to go off between mom and dad. Minimally, you're afraid of that. Like, I don't want this tornado to blow through. And so you're like, oh, God, he just had a fourth beer, and now she said that, and now this is going to happen. Do you think you have acute spidey senses?
Yeah.
I think the way you look at me tells me you do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you're trying to figure out if
What do you think's happening?
There's something happening. I like it, though. Do you think there's something
I'm just
happening?
wondering what's in his drink. You
This
know?
one?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
I'm kidding.
It's like,
No, I was always hypersensitive. My whole life, I still am hypersensitive to other people's feelings, ahead of mine, too, to my demise in a lot of
Right.
ways. It's good for self-preservation or like fight or flight, but
Yeah.
it's not really great for like relationship or confidence in yourself or security.
Yeah, do you feel sometimes burdened by that awareness of everyone else's emotional state? Like, it's exhausting to some degree?
It is, but one of my all-time heroes is Nikola Tesla.
The inventor.
Yeah, the inventor.
Yeah.
And as a kid, he had these crazy migraines where he just would see all white. It was so intense by the time he was like 15 or something, he wanted to commit suicide. Then he learned to control them. And when he did, he realized he had like a photographic memory and he could design things from the intensity of his brain.
Really?
Yeah. And so anyways, about a year ago, I had something really intense personally happen for me. I was just getting ready to surf this contest in Hawaii at Pipeline. And I couldn't sleep for a few nights. And then I tuned into it the right way and realized it was a gift for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something you see as a curse. And that's why Spider-Man and Superman and all these superheroes speak to people. Because there is something inside each person. There's a superpower in each person.
Yes.
And it's from the way you were raised, whether you were raised really healthy and safe and stable, and you can provide that for people, or if you were in some crazy environment, it's haywire and you don't know how to control it, but if you can control it, that's your superpower.
Yeah. You can be a calming force in a lot of chaos.
Yeah.
You also see other people really quickly. You become like a buoy, I think.
If you learn to be aware of what that thing is and how to control it, how to tame it, once you learn to like really push your limits of who you are and where you can go in the thing that you like or the things in your life, and you can learn to pull it back, but you know you have that energy in there, that it's your
fuel
it's your
source.
superpower, it's your reverse kryptonite.
Yeah. Okay, here's some of my curiosities. Knowing kind of your personality type and what we just talked about, it's a solitary endeavor, and that's great. I wonder, this sport by design, it's kind of bipolar. It's like the world you've existed in for the last 30 whatever odd years. You're completely by yourself. You're with a million people. You have victory. You have defeat. You have all these crazy highs and lows. What I was really tripping out on watching everything I could about you this week is when you're doing your job, that's going to be the most level of fame and distraction you have. Like, I just imagine if when I was in scenes on set, in an intimate scene, that's when they let the tour come through Universal, and I also had to, like, say hi to people mid-scene. It's a very peculiar dynamic I'm kind of curious about. Well, A, do you agree that it's a really kind of bipolar extreme?
It's peaceful and beautiful, and it's intense at the same time. You do it because you like the solace, but then also surfing at the good spots is really crowded. And yeah, you don't start surfing because you want to be a contest surfer or a competitor. You do it because you enjoy riding waves, and it's something really peaceful and natural. And then to put yourself in a competitive environment in a place that's supposed to be like of solace, it's kind of a mind fuck.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Somehow, you know? There's definitely a bipolarity to it. I would say surfing is probably the most spiritual sport there is. So we've always had this conundrum of surfing being our peaceful place and being nature, and then being like a sponsored pro, getting paid for it, and like, are you selling out the ocean and everything it's giving you to make money? There's a mind fuck.
Well, and for
to it.
adulation and for
whatever.
prizes and rewards.
Yeah. I mean, obviously some people like that stuff more than other people. You can kind of pick and choose the things you want to make money from, or is it right for the sport but not right for you? You just have to be tuned in to knowing what feels right, and you don't always make the right decision.
Yeah, I assume you'd start surfing for the intrinsic rewards. Makes
Yeah.
you feel good, you're accomplishing something, and then the better you get, it all becomes about extrinsic rewards, which is tricky.
Yeah. I mean, I remember getting picture taken for the newspaper my first time when I was 10 years old, you know?
Yeah.
Actually, the first time I got pictures taken of me for the newspaper, I was fishing.
With
And-
your dad?
No, I was by myself.
Okay.
And I was just fishing about a half a block away from my house, like a couple hundred yards away. And my mom could see me from there, and I was maybe 5 or 6. And this guy stopped in his car and started asking me questions. And I was like, this guy trying to fucking steal me? You know? And he literally worked for the newspaper. But I had always been told, you know, don't talk to strangers.
Yes.
So I was
Yeah.
pretty aware. I was making sure to look over and see my house. I was on my best friend's street, and everyone knows me in the neighborhood. So I was really aware.
Yeah.
But then he started taking pictures of me fishing, and it ended up in the Sun newspaper, the local paper, and he interviewed me. And I had like I guess I had like a speech impediment at that age, basically. And so my name ended up being Kevin something.
Oh, okay.
Like he couldn't even understand what I
Kevin
was.
Stater.
Yeah.
5-year-old Kevin Stater.
Yeah, Kevin
Angling
Suedo. Kevin Suedo.
Trying to catch a marlin off the...
Wait,
and I didn't
that
catch a fish, but I got my line stuck on a little pole that was in the water. So he's got me like with a rat nest.
Oh
in
my
my,
God.
it was funny. But my mom's probably got that paper somewhere.
Even though we know that turned out well, I'm still very skeptical of this person.
Well, what I
Yeah.
was thinking is
Like,
like,
what?
I hate to say that's a great angle.
It
is
is.
to act like you're from the newspaper and you have a
course.
camera. That's a,
Yeah.
that's
It's
a
better than candy.
It is. Fame.
Babe.
Strongest drug known to man. Stronger than heroin. Okay, but what I heard you say was you surf best when you're relaxed and happy. Mm-hmm. How do you create an environment for yourself where you're happy and relaxed when you show up at work? There's just inherently going to be several thousand people screaming who recognize you and want your attention, want your energy, want a photo. Like, how on earth are you compartmentalizing your internal experience? Are you disassociated? Are you like moving through the crowd and you're on kind of autopilot? You can give people what they want, but you're somehow in your head in a compartment where you're maintaining a mantra or something?
Yeah, since the beginning, I always tried to just be Kelly, like myself. But I think at some point it became obvious that there's two me's. That's a public me. And I have to kind of almost disassociate, like you said, like I have to treat that like a different person to some degree, because otherwise it's too much for me to process. It's hard for me to have time for all those people. And sometimes I start being an asshole and I hate it. Me, myself, I'm not an asshole to people at all. I'm a super nice guy. But I can be a dick sometimes because I get so overwhelmed. People don't know that. And so I'll say something smart to somebody or like off-putting intentionally because I don't want them to give me any attention. But it's not because me as a person is that way. It's the person that I have to be at that time in order to save the energy I'm trying to focus into that thing. And I don't even have the time to explain it. Then I go home and I feel bad about myself because I'm like, God, I was kind of a dick to that kid or that woman. I'm like, I want to apologize to them. And occasionally I'll get a message from somebody online and go, you know, you were mean, you said something rude. And I had it happen to me recently at home.
Where's home?
In Florida. I went to this beach where I was surfing by myself. No one surfs there, just me and one friend. And these guys saw us driving by and they turned around and they came back and they started walking back and forth through the parking lot, pretending they were just checking the surf there. And then they wanted a picture. And I said something smart to them when they finally asked for a picture because I was just like annoyed that they
Thought they were fooling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the annoying
yeah,
thing,
they weren't being straight to me.
Right.
But I'm the bad guy because people know my name.
Yep.
Right. So then he put the picture on Instagram and then said, like, I met Kelly Slater today. He was kind of a jerk. And I was like, I just have this sense of loss when that happens because I'm like, God, I could just grit my teeth and bear it a little more, but I just can't because I'm human also.
Yeah.
And do you find so much about expectations? So it's like, for me, whether I'm going to react kindly or like an asshole is my own expectation. So if I go to an event to surf at Pipeline tomorrow, I know what's going to happen.
You're going to wipe out.
I'm going to die.
You're going to die.
I'm personally going to die.
He
I've never
know.
surfed. So beyond that, I'll die.
You'll
That's
drown.
a given.
You'll drown.
Yeah.
And then you'll hit the reef and cut
Yeah,
yourself.
and I hope I make a headline. You know, if you were to win that day, I probably would get buried. But above all that, I would go there knowing, like, I'm going to talk to a lot of people. That's how it is. But when I go with a friend to a beach that I think no one will be at, I actually have an expectation of some privacy and some intimacy with the people I chose to be with. And it's actually the getting pulled out of that, like, oh no, that's right. It's going to be this.
Yeah, I hate that because I surf behind my house. I have a house right here. And then you're in Hawaii in the wintertime and everyone recognizes me on the beach.
Sure.
So then walking to and from the water to my house, which is like 50 yards, you know, I might get stopped 5 or 6 or 8 times.
Yeah.
And to me, that's annoying because I feel like I'm in my backyard. But I'm still nice. I try to be nice. One time, though, I was out surfing a couple years ago and my board hit me in the leg, and this nerve shot off in my foot, and it felt like somebody had a flamethrower on my foot. I've never had a sensation like this, and it wouldn't stop. And I was still in the water when it happened, and I started paddling. Every time a drop of water would hit my foot, it was like somebody stabbing my foot. It was like the sensation. It was so sensitive. And so I tried to paddle back to my house because I was like, I don't think I can walk. And as I paddled, the water was hitting it. It was hurting more. So I got up on the beach and tried to walk, and I couldn't walk.
Oh my God.
And there was like no one on this beach, but there was like 2 people there and 3 people there. And they both wanted pictures with me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I was trying to tell them I was in agonizing pain, but I couldn't explain it because there was no blood.
Right.
There was
You weren't
nothing. And they would have
obviously
thought I was
hurt.
lying.
Right.
Even the sand touching my foot hurt. And I was trying to hobble home. And I was like almost in tears. I just made this decision. I go, you know what? It's way easier to just take this picture than to explain to them my injury.
But that sucks.
You know,
Well, it's this debate,
It was so
right?
weird.
Like, because in
It's
some
weird.
way
it's
you
not natural. You know?
right,
It's
and
weird.
in one way you're either going to betray yourself.
Yeah.
On some level, I totally know what you're saying. You go home and you're like, I could have been nice. It would have taken the same amount of time, and I wouldn't feel like shit now. So, strategically, I should have just been nice. There are other times though where you might go home and go like, I've completely betrayed myself. I'm not even allowed to exist in the reality that I'm in, which is my foot's on fire.
Yeah. Oh, I took a guy's camera once and threw it on the ground.
Right,
I mean,
okay,
now
yeah.
and then I'll just go, I asked you nicely.
Yeah.
You disagreed with me. This is what happened. I was in France and we were out, and this guy asked me for a photo. And I said, I'd rather not right now. And he just goes, oh, well, let's just do it. And he, and I said, no. And then he just got aggressive and like wanted to. So I just took his camera and I threw it on the ground.
Yeah.
And then I was the big asshole. But I'm like, you asked me. You're unwilling to accept a no. If you're not going to accept a no, don't bother asking me. Just come take a picture. I'd probably accept that better. You know, I demand respect if you're going to talk to me on some level. But at the end of the day, it's all fucking childish. Who cares? I'm famous for going to ride in waves. Like, I could take a picture and not be a dick.
Now, I was curious, if you're away from the ocean, in some ways I think you might have dream fame, which is like, if you want it, all you need to do is go onto a beach. And if you don't want it, maybe you can escape it. But is that wrong to think? Like, if
No, somebody
plotted
came to
it-
my hometown
Okay.
and did an interview with me. And they did some kind of test where they asked people around my hometown about me, and they all knew me.
Right.
And they drove like 3 miles inland.
Right.
And nobody knew me. Right. You know?
Right.
It
Well,
was like
that's
one
what
of
I'm
those
saying,
things,
like, if
because
you-
if you're away from the beach.
If
yeah.
you plotted it on a graph, I bet the further away
Yeah.
from the ocean you got, the
Yeah.
more anonymous you would become.
But then a weird thing happened to me because I was on Baywatch.
Yeah, you were. 26 episodes?
7
episodes?
episodes.
Only 7.
I'm going to sue Wikipedia.
7 episodes, yeah, over 2 years. 5 one year, 2 the next.
Yeah,
92
I've
and
been lied
93.
to.
But in 94, I was in Paris for a couple of weeks, and I just was like cruising, partying in Paris.
Yeah, right.
Somebody gave me an apartment to use while I was there, and I just went and kind of had fun for a couple of weeks. And I remember I was standing next to kind of a famous building, and people were taking pictures near it and stuff. And walks up right next to me, David, what was the guy's name? He was a magician, and he was married to some
Blaine?
model. No, not Dave Blaine.
Copperfield?
Copperfield.
Walks up from me to you away right next to me. And he's got all these cameras, and none of them knew me.
Right.
And I thought, this is so weird. I was just down in Lacanau Biarritz in Hossegor, France.
Okay.
Where everyone was there to see me. They
Yeah,
all
yeah, of
knew me.
course. Yeah.
Yes.
Every single person there knew me, and I was going crazy. Actually, a couple years later, Jack Johnson, who had just graduated from college, he had graduated to do film. The first years out of college, he made a surf movie with us. And he came to France with me, and we went to those cities. Jack was in my car with me. It was just me and Jack. And Jack was like, Kelly, this is crazy. It's like the Beatles,
It's
man.
like dangerous.
Yeah.
We would try to leave the surf contest, and there'd be thousands of people that would not move. I couldn't drive, and I would have to just inch forward. And Jack has film from in the car with people banging on the windows, and Jack would get out of the car and film me, and no one knew Jack at the time,
Yeah.
right? He
Yeah.
hadn't put a song out or anything. And Jack was like, this is crazy that I'm seeing this, man. I can't believe that this is like real.
Yeah.
Anyway, so go back to that story where I'm standing next to Dave Copperfield. I'm in Paris. No one knows me. And they're all taking these pictures of him. He's doing a press day. And then 5 Italian guys come up and they're like, Kelly Slater! And I'm like, fuck, I thought I was like anonymous here. Then they're like,
Pronto!
and then I'm like, oh, do you guys surf? They're like, oh, no, Alert on Malibu. That's what they call it in France.
Oh, Baywatch.
Oh, Baywatch.
And so they knew me from Baywatch. Yeah. And I was like, God damn it. I hate that. You
Did
know?
they know your fake name? Would they get
Jimmy Slade.
Jimmy Slade.
Yeah.
Really close.
Yeah,
Really
they
close.
knew. They knew.
Do you know how many viewers that show had when you were?
Billion or something, I
we
don't
just looked it up.
Do you know how much money I got paid to be on that show?
I can guess.
Okay. First season.
You were a guest star?
per episode.
$700 an episode.
No, it's more than that. On every preview, it would have me. You
Right,
know,
coming
even
out
if
of the
I wasn't-
water.
Even if I wasn't on the show.
Sure.
But yeah, I
Why not?
made about $2,300 each show, and then you pay your tax and your state tax.
$4
So I
left.
mean, you know, I was probably making about $1,200 a show.
Yeah.
And I was getting shit from everyone in the surf world for being on Baywatch. I'm like, that is not worth $1,000 a show, $5,000 a year that I clear. The second year I did it, I was so uncomfortable doing it because all I ever wanted to do was be a surfer. You know, all I ever wanted to do was try to win a world championship.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Can I ask really quick? You won in 92, 94, split for 4 years.
No, I won 92, 94, 5, 6, 7, 8.
When did you take off?
3 years, 99 through 2001.
Okay, so you were still active while you were shooting Baywatch. You were still competing.
That was the first year I was full-time on tour.
Oh,
my
okay.
God.
And
I
you
was
were
20
shooting
years
Baywatch.
old. I was the
Oh,
first
my
year I
God.
won the world title.
Oh, wow.
How did Baywatch even happen?
I don't know whether they believe my story on this or not.
When I read it, I didn't know if I believed it.
Yeah, so late teens, I kind of got into playing guitar and singing, and I kind of wanted to start writing songs and stuff, but I don't know if I wanted to be like a professional musician. My manager at the time's like, oh, you should go in the studio and just sing a couple songs. He set that up, and I went and did it, and I was super nervous and like scared to sing in front of anyone, and I was terrible.
Scary.
It was terrible, and I was like, what am I doing? So fish out of water. Anyways, I kind of became friends with the guy who was doing sound, and many years later, I started a band, and we did an album, and that guy showed up at one of my shows. He's like, hey, it's me, remember? And he was a really good guitarist and musician. And it was cool because I kind of made friends with this guy from that, but the first time I'm in a studio trying to sing like Elton John's Norma Jean or something, you know. So my manager wanted me to be like a teen heartthrob kind of guy. He wanted me to be like a child star. He was an LA guy, and he had contacted my mom when I was 14 years old, and he started managing me from that age. When I was 16, he did my first like sponsorship deal and stuff. But he wanted me to be an actor. And he wanted me to be like a superstar. And he used to tell my mom, one day people are going to remember that Kelly was a surfer, but they're not going to know him for that.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was like, fuck this guy. It really was like a dagger. I was like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about, dude? This
He
is
sounds like Colonel Parker.
I don't know. He sounds like
Elvis.
Colonel Parker. Yeah, Elvis
he's
is
way off base. Oh, is that who?
Yeah, he's like, people will remember he used to be a singer. Like, I want him to be a movie star. Fuck
Yeah.
him singing.
Surfing was just my absolute all-time passion. And my parents, they both supported it. There was no wealthy career surfer. There was
Yeah.
surfers that they knew, but nobody made a life. The guy who won the world title that year that I started surfing, that was the first year they ever had a world title, and Peter Townend won. And I think he won a couple $1,000s. Like, there wasn't a career
He had
path.
a job.
Yeah, maybe he got free tickets or something, you know, but he didn't make any money.
Right.
So it wasn't a career path, but it was cool that they totally supported us doing that. But back to the Baywatch thing, this guy named Brian Taylor was my manager at the time. I'm going to actually expose him on some things here.
Exclusive.
Go for it.
Yeah, I got to. It's just
Yeah.
time. But he was working for William Morris as not a main agent, but at one point he was like a junior agent for Clint Eastwood or something. His vision was acting in movies and whatever. So he wanted me to try out for Baywatch. And I was like, I don't really have any interest. And he's like, well, just go try out. Just so if one day down the line you change your mind, you'll have this experience. And so he just sold me on it like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I went and did this casting for Baywatch, and I got my lines wrong. I mean, look, I know what good acting is. I wasn't doing it. I can see good acting. I can feel it. But I was not doing it. I did the thing, and I got done. I was like, man, that's done. Phew, and the worst hour of my year.
Yeah.
And
I'll never do that
right,
again.
I'll never do that. And so Brian, as I remember it, he had a power of attorney for me for a number of things. Afterwards, he's like, they loved you. And I'm like, that's frightening because I was terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I
This
was,
show's gonna be bad.
yeah, I'm like, if they like me, I don't want to be on that
Yeah.
show. Like, I was no good.
Yeah.
Okay. He's like, no, they loved you. They really want you. Long story short, I was on my first year on the world tour in '92. He signed the dotted line for me, and I was obligated to do the show. I didn't
What?
want to do
That's
the
what
show.
I read. It
That's
seems
crazy.
insane.
It seems insane.
Yeah.
And I did not want to do Baywatch, but I had an obligation to do it now.
Yeah, you'd get sued
and
otherwise.
yeah, I probably would
If
have
you
got
committed
sued.
to it, yeah.
And so I was in Australia. My then boss had to drive me to the airport, and I was telling him about it, and he was like, "This doesn't sound good, Kelly." Like, and we
You're
were
reporting to Baywatch
and,
like it's the
and we were
Army.
like, I had to fly back to do the opening photo shoot where I met the whole cast.
Oh,
and, I
boy.
met Pam, I met Dave Charvet, I met Hasselhoff, I met Jeremy Jackson, I met everyone that day. But I almost missed my flight. And I really wanted to. But if I missed that flight, that was the last flight to get into LA before that photo shoot.
Sidebar, was Hasselhoff lovely?
I really enjoyed Dave.
Yeah, I bet.
I think he's awesome.
Yeah.
I love
also,
that
we
guy.
grew up watching Knight Rider.
Yeah, no, I love Knight Rider, but Hasselhoff was always super cool to me.
Yeah.
Look, you can think what you want about the guy. You know, he's got a funny ego and stuff. He was always super nice to me. He's still, every couple of years, he'll reach out and send me a message or say hi.
I have a hunch he's a super sweet dude.
I got nothing but good things to say about Dave Hasselhoff. He took his part really seriously, and he was intense when he acted and stuff. I mean, at times, I would have to turn my face and laugh because he was so intense.
Listen, Kelly, in his defense, he's got a bunch of people who've never acted. He's got a fucking surfer who doesn't want to be there. He's the
Right.
only person there. He's carrying that whole fucking thing on some level,
true.
right?
Yeah.
You listen to Pam's story. She's like, she didn't show up for 8 auditions. They scheduled 8 auditions. She just kept not showing up. They still put her on the show. Yeah. You did terrible. They put you on the show. That's what Hasselhoff was given. A bunch of people didn't want to be there.
Oh, God.
Bad News Bears. Yes. You know?
And by God, through that, they become the biggest show in the
1.2
world.
billion.
Yeah.
It's quite a story if you really think about it.
Yeah, in a weird way it was. But had there been any sort of sense of reality on the show and the scripting and stuff and the writing, maybe I could have hung out for another year or two. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we do CPR like this. My elbows are bent and I'm pushing my hands forward doing a piston.
Yeah.
That's not how you do CPR. So even when I would see them doing CPR, I'm like, you guys, at least make it look right. Because maybe somebody's going to have to copy that one day.
Right?
Straight
Sure.
arms, all your weight, break some ribs.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but there'd be like 2 piston pumps on the chest and people would cough up water and start talking. And I'm like, wow, you saved them. Killer. Good job. I would just get super critical and I would just be like, you're making a fucking joke out of my life here.
Yeah.
And it would piss
You're
me
also
off.
how old are you? 21.
20,
You
yeah.
care a lot about shit at 21
Yeah,
too,
I was
right?
20.
Like now you could probably do it. And you're like, yeah, this is a hilarious hoot. I'm on this show.
If they had made Baywatch a comedy, greatest fucking show on the face of the earth ever existed.
Well, they did make a comedy. The movie is stupid for them not to reach out to you.
Yeah, no, they
They
didn't.
didn't. Okay, I've got a bone to pick with that gang now. That would have been a great nod to bring Kelly back.
Big
Yeah.
mistake.
Don't you think?
I talked about it with a couple of guys on the show.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
They did the movie, and I run into Zac Efron at Chris Hemsworth's house at a birthday party.
Are you feeling completely unfit? I mean, between the two of those guys, are you starting to feel like,
Yeah.
I need to be
like-
on a cycle here?
Yeah.
What's going on? What am
I
I
actually-
missing out on?
Actually, just,
Shriveled up.
Shriveled into a couch.
World-class athlete
But
feeling.
no, so I meet Zach. That was the first time I think I met him. I ran into him at New York at this Global Citizen concert. And it was right when they were doing Baywatch. He's like, it's going to be comedy. It's like going to be funny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what'll be funny is that Jimmy Slade, who moved to Hawaii and left the show, because that's what I did. I told him, I said, I just can't do this show. I went up to the producer or director one day and I said, hey, I just can't do the show anymore. All I want to do is surf. I'm like, you have to write me off. I'm sorry. I get shot.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I get shot trying to save Nicole Eggert from a guy
my.
who's holding her captive
How
in a lifeguard
serious.
tower.
Of course. Daily occurrence in Malibu.
Well, and the way that I got there was I shuffled underneath the sand.
I
got
like a serpent.
Like a serpent, yeah.
Sand serpent.
And anyways, I get shot in the shoulder, whatever. I end up leaving and moving to Hawaii.
Okay.
But at the time, I lived in my
recover.
van. So I told Zach, I go, dude, it'd be super funny. I would love to do something
Yes.
where you see me in Hawaii, I'm still living in my van and I'm like old or something. you know?
Still in a swing.
I'm like a bum surfer living in a van in Hawaii now instead of California.
Yeah, it didn't
so
work out.
he actually made some moves and was trying to get me apart. It would be fun to do
Oh my
now.
God, yeah.
Yeah, that didn't happen, but it was one of those things in my brain that would have been funny.
Yeah. A couple things about surfing. First of all, we're here to talk about Make or Break, which is incredible. Just to backstory it. Not only did I not watch Formula One, I actively hated it. I thought it was so boring. There's no passing. I hated it. Then I watched Drive to Survive. My whole life now is Formula One. I travel over the world to see races. I've become friends with the drivers. It's all I care about. And it's all because of Drive to Survive, which is made by the same company, Box. So I start Make or Break last week knowing I'm going to talk to you. And of course, by the end of the season, I'm like, I'm so into surfing now. It's so fucking good.
I think they did a great job.
It's incredible.
I really do. And I know I'm part of it or whatever, but most of them I'm not in.
Well, I was going to say my complaint of it was this show, I'm seeing you all over the place. You're ever present in the first season, but it's not till this coming up season where the first episode's all you, and I'm like, okay, this is what I needed so bad. I'm sure you've seen it. Have you seen
Yeah,
it?
I've seen it. I saw it months ago.
It's fucking incredible.
It's about my win at Pipeline, I think 5 days before I turned 50. I'm the oldest guy on tour by like 15 years.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you're
I actually don't know how old the next guy is.
I had
to be
asked
honest.
Dax, I was like, how old is everyone? And he was like, everyone else is like 20.
Yeah, no, I mean, I
wow.
was on tour against some of the guys on tour's fathers
Wow.
30 years ago.
And most of the guys, you're double the age of. Not
Yeah.
like forget saying
Yeah,
15
basically
or
the average
20,
age is probably
like
25,
24 or
so-
5. What's great is because I didn't follow surfing until last week. Now I'm a super fan. When I watched that episode, I don't know that you won last year at Pipeline.
Before watching it.
I didn't.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, this motherfucker won Pipeline 2 weeks before his birthday, like or a
Yeah.
week before his birthday. I mean, it's one of the best
I also hadn't
hours
won
of a sports doc I've ever seen.
Oh,
It's
thanks.
so fucking good.
Yeah, thanks.
Aren't you glad that's documented? Step aside and go like, wow, I can view that experience. How incredible that thing was documented. That
Yeah,
could have happened in
absolutely.
a vacuum.
In an obscure sport like ours as compared to worldwide soccer, football,
Formula
baseball,
One.
Formula One, chess.
Yeah.
Shuffling,
Badminton.
birding. Yeah.
We started in the same word. I said birdie first, and I'm like, no, I think that's badminton. Shuffleboard.
Shuffleboard,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bar shuffleboard.
No, but in all seriousness, it was amazing that we started Make or Break the year before, and then they were there to document that whole thing. And truth be told, we were going to do a whole series on just me last year, separately, like a documentary on my year. I just wasn't doing good, and I was getting depressed. And
Yeah.
I had a guy there filming, and he's a good friend of mine. We've done stuff together, but I started feeling like I couldn't figure out why I was doing it or what I was doing it for. And I was like,
Yeah.
it all climaxed at Pipeline. So halfway through the year, we quit filming.
Was that a hard decision to make?
It was actually a little hard on the ego. You reach these highs. That's the bipolarity of the surfing competitively is like you reach these highs. You will lose most of the time.
Right.
But then when you win, you feel like on top of the world and like, I could do that all day long.
And it might buy you like 30 more losses, right? You're like,
Yeah.
oh, there's enough
yeah,
fuel
it
in the
sucks
tank
you
for
in,
me
you know?
to fucking...
She still likes me.
Yes. Yeah, one great
Let
day.
me text her one more time at 10 p.m. You know? Yeah, I started that week really unsettled. And I was telling you, I sort of found my internal superpower of confidence. And this one moment clicked in the contest that's in there where I win with just 3 seconds left in a heat to get 9th place. It was like 4 rounds before the final. I think it was my 3rd heat of the contest.
Oh, right. You got on the wave with
I caught the
4
wave with
seconds,
3 or 4 seconds,
4 seconds
left to go.
left.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
yes.
Barron, he's the next generation of Pipeline guys. You know, he's like fearless, great surfer, really in your face. Not personally, but the way he surfs
Aggressive
is very
surfer.
aggressive, and he's not waiting around for it to happen. Like he's making it happen. And his dad was a Pipeline guy and North Shore guy, and those guys are out to get their own. And he was dominating me in the heat, and I get this wave with 4 seconds to go, and I knew it was the wave when I stood up.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe, I was like, the magic's still there, you know?
Yeah.
And I used to have these a lot. Almost every contest I ever won, I had one defining moment in the contest that I knew, okay, I'm not going to think anymore. It's just on.
Now,
I'm on autopilot.
Flow
this is-
hasn't been engaged.
Flow just got injected in my veins.
Yeah.
And that was that moment. Right then, I'm like, okay, this is mine to lose. All I have to do is go with this. Don't question anything. Trust this process. And that's like getting in the flow for sport or with anything in your life. When you don't think and question things and double question and ask yourself, why? What should I do? When you're doing that, you lose. And in sport, it's really evident. I mean, think about going out to catch a screen pass in a play in football and you're like, oh, well, should I go this way or that? You don't think about it like that. You just do it. You picture it. You imagine it. You go. And there was a surf film, I'm forgetting it was Andy Irons and this guy named Dave Rostovich. In that movie, they interviewed Dave Rostovich's dad who lived in New Zealand. He's a really spiritual guy. He's passed away now. But in the movie, he says, think it, feel it, do it. Like you think up the idea. It's not you think about what you're doing. You just think of the idea. You have the idea. And then you just feel it in your bones and it just happens. And so I just really had that kind of feeling throughout that whole week last year. It just locked in from that moment. There was about 2 or 3 minutes left in that heat and I was getting beaten pretty badly. I needed a really high score. I wasn't reading the ocean or the break really well that day at Pipeline. I just didn't feel in sync with it all. And I really felt like he was. At some point, I kind of mentally, emotionally surrendered to it. It was his day. I surrendered to that completely. I went, no loss, losing to this guy. He's great. By the time I had sort of processed it, I probably had a little over a minute left. And I was looking outside and I didn't really see much coming. When you go over each wave, you can see waves 2 minutes out. And I didn't see a lot, but I saw a little bump. And with about 25, 30 seconds ago, I came over this wave and I saw this one. And it was like almost, but I knew the size of wave I needed and the intensity of the ride I needed. And I was like, that's not the one. I'm like, that's okay. I go, I'm going to pass that one up.
Oh, okay. You're going to let it go.
And I didn't know if there was one behind it, but I was like, that's not good enough. I'm not going to waste it on that. And I come over and I see the next wave. I'm like, holy shit. I got 18 seconds left. It's 14 seconds between waves today.
Oh my God.
I have just enough time to catch this fucker. And then I paddled out to it and I got myself in the spot. And I was like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. And I was like, don't question it. And I had to go back into that sort of place where I'm like, just do it.
Yeah.
Don't get all giddy. You haven't done the thing. And so you get in this battle in life where you see something that is going to be yours. And you know it can be yours if you just go through the right process. But then you think about that and you get in your own way.
The second I start thinking of the result, I'm kind of
Yes.
fucked.
Yeah,
but if
yeah.
I just stay in the process.
Yeah, and if you can stay in the process and you can truly enjoy those moments too, not the anxiety of it finishing, if you can be present in your body, I think everyone is searching for this in the world. I think this is the reason for drug addiction. I know there's sadness. I know there's things people can't process and deal with, but we're all searching to be present in the moment and to be happy with who we are in the universe at this very instant throughout our whole lives. To me, that's the meaning of spirituality, and that's the purpose of life, is to become very present, become aware of everything around you, enjoy all the good and bad, and also on top of that, not make certain emotions more important or better than other ones. They're all important. They're
Right.
all necessary to become whole. And I swear that it all gelled for me in that moment. So for me, in my life, the way that I've been able to connect to the universe, to spirituality for myself, is through the evidence and the obviousness of competition.
Yes. There's one other great metaphor within that, and I jokingly said it to you in the hallway when we were walking in, but I meant it. You say in the doc, or I don't know where I heard you say it this week, but you said, you got to ride the wave you're given, which I think is enormously metaphorically powerful. You have some game plan in your head. If I do this, if I'm in the barrel for, I don't even know enough about it to say, but if I'm in the barrel for this many seconds and then I do this turn, for that game plan to work, you need the wave that fits this scheme you have, this game plan. I love that metaphor as like, no, you have to be present on this wave that I committed to. Instead of fighting the thing, you are harnessing the force that it is, as opposed to wanting it to be another thing.
Yeah.
There's something really beautiful about that sentiment, which is like, no, this is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, if you're riding a wild horse, you're not forcing your will upon the horse. You're learning to harness that energy.
And you're not going to try to go barrel riding with it. There's another agenda now on the table. There'll be another measure of success on this fucking wild Mustang other than this well-trained horse I'm barrel riding on.
Yeah.
I dig that.
Yeah.
Do you worry because Formula One, I mean, it was already huge, but got so big, especially in the United States after Drive to Survive, and you're already such a well-known person and everyone knows your name, but are you like, this is going to be that?
I don't think of it that way, but it's funny because when Box to Box pitched this, all the main teams wouldn't even work with them. Do you know all that?
No.
Yeah, maybe I'm disclosing something I
No.
shouldn't. But no, like all the big
By the way,
dogs.
that's what happened with Formula One. You watch the
That's what I'm
first.
saying.
Oh yeah, Drive to
That's what
Survive.
I'm saying.
Yeah, there's no Lewis, and then all of a sudden people start
and
cooperating.
it's funny because I became friends with Lewis maybe 6 years ago or something.
Okay.
And he loves to surf. We had a mutual friend, and that friend said, hey, Lewis wants to come to Hawaii and go surfing. And so we became buddies. He came and stayed at my house. He goes, I'll be there for like 3 to 5 days. And he stayed for like 2 weeks.
Oh, that's lovely.
I'm like, yeah, can you pay rent now? I'm just kidding. Anyways, we became buddies. We surfed a bunch together and stuff. And so each year he wants to come to Hawaii for a week or two and surf. And he told me, he's like, if I could quit everything and just go surfing, he's like, that's all I do the rest of my life. I love it more than absolutely everything by a long shot because I just don't get to do it enough. But I heard those guys were doing the show, and then when they started doing the surf scene, and I started talking to them about them, and they're like, we haven't been able to access Mercedes. You know, it's more the lower teams, and it's telling that story of the battle from below kind of thing. And I was like, that's kind of cool because I've always thought that that'd be cool to tell that story in the surf world because it's easy to go tell the story about the guys at the top, I think. This guy started winning contests at this age. Well, what about the guy who had to grind it out? It's like so much more interesting. He's sleeping on people's couches around the world. He's asking favors. He's
the
borrowing
heartbreak
cars.
of these guys who are teetering on.
You don't have a sponsor. You know, you got to use prize money to get around the
and
world.
they're surfing to stay in the tour sometimes.
Yeah, some of them are sending money back. You know, I know a couple of my friends from Brazil, they're sending money back to their families. So, they live in a favela. It's full on.
Oh, yeah.
And that story to me is like so much more gritty and interesting. But now they're all like, oh, yeah, we'll do this. You know, because now they see the success of that and what it is for their sport.
It quadrupled Austin, right? CODA.
Oh, really?
3 years ago, 90,000 fans for the weekend. We went 2 years ago, 400,000 fans.
Unbelievable.
I mean, they
It's incredible.
fucking X the sport
Yeah, it's
in the
great.
U.S. solely based on that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But you know what was crazy? Lewis didn't participate the first couple seasons. He participated last year. Max didn't. Lewis lost, Max won. There's like a weird superstition-y kind of thing that happened.
Wait, was it you who Ed Norton was talking about?
Yeah, Edward
Did
went
he-
with you to the surf
yeah,
ranch.
surf ranch. I hate when Ed talks behind my back, you know.
Yeah, I imagine.
He was
He's
I
so
think I've met
negative
him. Like,
about
Very-
I think I've met him 1 or 2 times, and once was on FaceTime. He seems like a really nice guy.
No, yeah.
He was just saying it was insane how sore. And he was saying Lewis. That was the whole thing. He was like,
because he was with Lewis,
Yes,
wasn't he? Yeah,
and
at
that-
the surf camp.
he's
surf ranch,
obviously
yeah.
Surf ranch,
yeah,
sorry.
so-
Surf camp. How embarrassing.
special wave.
I've
You made
learned a
wave.
lot this week. I basically have had to learn.
Doesn't sound like it.
Still a ways to go.
Okay, here's a few of my kind of big global questions. One is, do you have any sadness about the notion that all 11 of these victories are ultimately solitary? They're not shared with a team.
That's not true, though. I surfed for Quicksilver during all of those, and I had a team. I had my buddy who was basically my caddy. I have a team of people around me. We celebrated it all together. I wasn't doing this alone.
I want to compare it to like Tom Brady. He and Gronkowski are going to go out in 25 years, and they're going to sit there, and they shared the experience of victory.
I got my buddy Belly, who was with me through all of them. He was kind of like our team manager for Quicksilver at the
Right.
time, not my personal manager, but he's like my best friend, and he's been there caddying my boards and helped me out for all those years. And
So you do have that.
yeah, I mean, I have a number of people. My friend Travis, who works for me with my surfboards now, he worked with Channel Islands, who I was with for 24 years. Belly's been with Quick for over 30 years. That was our team. You know, I still look at all those people that were with Quicksilver as my team that helped me do that. They created an infrastructure around the world for me, helped me feel comfortable.
Okay, but I'm going to push back. They don't have the trophy
I was
in their
alone.
house.
I was alone.
No, it's not that it's not that you didn't have help. It's that Gronkowski and Tom Brady have the ring. They both are Super Bowl champions.
Yep.
They're not part of the support team. They shared the victory.
It's watered down.
Listen, they shared
They
the
watered it
victory.
down.
Yes.
When you have
There's
to
not as
share.
much glory. I liked everything individual. I would have preferred just the glory for myself. But when you fail, you're failing all by yourself.
Yeah.
And when you have a team, I think there's a lot of support. That's why I did sketch comedy, not stand-up. If we failed, it was fun to go backstage and go, oh, we shit the bed on that.
What did Giselle say? He can't catch it also. Right. You remember that?
Oh,
one?
did she say that?
Yeah. Well, she's like, oops, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that.
Is there anything to the notion that it's a bizarrely lonely experience?
When I won my first world title, I was sitting in a room in Brazil on my balcony with Tom Carroll, who was like my big brother and a former world champion.
Okay.
He and I were on the balcony. We could just barely hear the loudspeaker from the beach. We realized that the guy who had to lose lost.
Really?
And Tom looks at me and goes, congratulations, you're the world champion.
Oh, my
And
God.
he gave me a hug. And it was just me and him in a room. And it was like so cool and so strange.
Yeah.
Because there was no one there. The hoopla was at the beach.
Right.
And then they called me down there, and I was 20 minutes later, I was down in the crowd of 50,000 people. But
Right.
it was so interesting to be that separated from the moment, experiencing it by myself, which I kind of liked. And I kind of like that about surfing.
I saw Real Sports a decade ago and was talking about the super high rate of suicide, drug addiction with all, I'm going to put this in the category of extreme sports.
I've had a lot of friends commit suicide, surfer friends.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a crazy high number. And it is the same in skateboarding. It's the same in BMX. It's the same in snowboarding.
Football.
Well, that's more of, I
That's
think,
a
brain
CTE
injury, right?
issue.
We're all getting those. We're not just getting hit by another guy, but we're hitting reefs and we're hitting concrete and we're
Yeah.
landing on
Yeah, that's
ramps.
true.
And Matt Hoffman,
Yes,
he
the
was
king.
He was telling me that he had this wipeout on the ramp and he landed at the bottom and just knocked himself out and was out for minutes.
Yeah, it's
And he
on
got
video.
Yeah, and he got amnesia. He said, then, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks or whatever later, he still had amnesia and he had to go to England, I think it was, or somewhere in Europe to go do an exhibition. And he gets to the ramp. He's like, what am I doing? I literally didn't know how to ride a bike.
Oh
He's
my
like,
God.
they get me up there and he goes, I guess this is what I do. I don't
Oh,
know.
God.
And he said he's up on like this 14-foot vert ramp looking at like someone who's never done it. And he said, I'm terrified. This is how he explained it to me.
Yeah.
And-
what could be scarier?
And he said, I just went for it and instantly I remembered everything.
Oh,
He- his-
wow.
his-
His
Well, that's what
body
makes
knew.
Matt
His
Hoffman.
mind came back. And he's like, all of a sudden now I've got my run. I'm doing my routine. Yeah, I'm back. I'm back, motherfucker.
Oh, God.
Talk about a leap of faith. Ugh. Yeah, if you ever stood on a 14-foot
Yeah, he said it was
ramp.
a true leap of faith. Like right there, he's like, Matt's back. Here we go.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's like, each time I'm hitting the ramp, I'm
Oh, look
kinda-
what I can do.
My
Oh,
brain,
shit, I
my
can do
mind's,
this.
my memory's coming back.
That's nuts.
Whoa. So,
So
how,
anyone out there who has lost their mind, just get on a ramp.
just get right
and
back
see
into the
if
thick of
comes,
it.
Yeah, just drop in.
Take yourself to the precipice. How do you think you have avoided, especially if you had an addict dad? I'm a recovering addict.
Do you think it's possible for yourself to ever not call yourself an addict?
No. Hit me. Do you have an opinion that you think that's something you can get over?
I do think it's something you get over.
You do. Tell me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I had an addict dad, and I've got a lot of addict friends in this world, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
In a perfect world, I feel like you can reset the software in your brain.
With a certain known methodology, like is there some technique you believe in?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to go there right now and talk about it.
Oh, shrooms?
Well, I mean, shrooms help.
Psilocybin.
Plant medicines.
Plant medicine.
And I do think that it's possible for people because I know stories of people who have gone from being suicidal daily for years, people who have been full-on drug addicts one day and the next day, completely different personality, no desire to do drugs.
I've heard of this through ayahuasca. I've heard about this through psilocybin.
Yeah, I know
read-
a lot of these stories.
Yeah. We interviewed Michael Pollan. I read his book. I find it all really fascinating.
There's things out there. I was actually thinking about today, my desires as a 18-year-old kid, 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, and how they changed, like the things that interest you each day.
Yes.
You know, and your mind definitely changes with knowledge, with history, with baggage.
My appetite for chaos. I used to have a humongous appetite for just chaos.
Yeah.
I found it everywhere. I loved it.
Me too. And through relationship, you discover a lot. A couple of years back, my girlfriend and I, who've been together forever,
How long?
15 years.
Okay, so
And
same.
we split up kind of briefly for a little while, just kind of think about things. But through total honesty between each other, which creates humility within yourself and vulnerability, it's hard to do if you don't trust someone. But if you can trust someone and trust that they'll be there through the pain they feel and the hurt they experience, your choices change. And I think that can expand out to other things as well, you know, like alcohol addiction or whatever. I mean, I have had in my life a pull towards alcohol at times. I don't feel any real urge at all to drink.
Currently.
I feel like I can have a beer or I can have a drink, but I don't care to. I do feel very comfortable in saying I don't have that as a thing that will dominate my life at any point in the future.
Having had the dad you had, when you had
Yeah.
periods where maybe objectively it was teetering on destructive, did you have that in your mind? Were you checking yourself, policing yourself
I've checked
regularly?
myself forever. I have two brothers. They've both had some problems with drinking. I think a lot of it is unconscious. I think it becomes patterned in people. If you see a family, they eat the same things. They have the same eating patterns. They have the same mindset.
It's the culture in their home.
It's the culture in the home.
Yeah.
And I think with a strong will and awareness of the things that you are doing, what you're putting out in the world, how they're affecting other people, those things, if you have any kind of conscience, you can change your choices. I believe you can get to a place where that desire can diminish and disappear.
First of all, I totally accept that people have had that experience. I'm not someone who's like in the program and thinks it's only one way. I'm happy for anyone to be having any result they want. For me, I get to be reminded of it daily. I'm such a hardcore addict. That's why your sport to me makes sense. The fucking obsession.
Hey, surfing's probably the addiction that filled that space.
Exactly. That's
so I could just be completely talking out my ass right
That's
now.
what I'm saying. Listen
That
to me.
was your
Listen to me.
outlet.
The obsessive mind is a specific type of mind. There's a huge latitude in how people are. There's this great study. They put ADHD medicine on beehives. Well, the explorer bees no longer go out and find a new place to get the pollen. So that's an issue. We need people with ADHD in our group. We need obsessive compulsive alcoholics in our group.
Without some of that stuff, it's kind of boring.
We don't work.
You don't wish it on people, but it creates different thoughts, and those different thoughts create different...
Creativity and-
Yes,
creativity.
a normal person is not putting the time into the fucking wave that you are. What is clear is physiologically you have a disposition to have that obsession, which is great. You've harnessed it in a very great and positive way. I'm aware of it all day long. If I eat...
How's your diet? How's your sugar intake?
Insane. That's totally me. I've already
ever
had
fasted
70 grams of protein this morning, and I won't have any sugar today, and I'll have so much protein, and I'm most comfortable
Are you keto?
living that way. I'm not. I'm not declared as any type of diet. I'm not peeing on any strips or breathing in a, make sure my ketosis is right. But if I have any elated feeling and I can reverse engineer what just happened, you can bet I will repeat whatever thing I've diagnosed is giving me that elated feeling, and I'll repeat it until it's dead. And I've been that way since I was in all the trauma as a kid.
Do you get sad as it tapers off? You know what I mean? Like if you get this elated feeling and then you do it again, you do it again, and then by the end you're like,
returns for
This is why
oh man, it's just not as good anymore.
cocaine was my main girlfriend. That's what got me sober, is cocaine.
What?
Cocaine.
Cocaine got you sober?
It forced me to get sober. Yes, it got me sober. I'm on cocaine.
That's an amazing bumper sticker. Cocaine got me sober.
I replaced alcohol with cocaine. I've been on for 18 years.
geez.
No, again, because I have the kind of mind I have, I won't come down. Why would I ever come down? I'm the dude who would do it on Thursday night, and then like you run into me on Monday. I will not let go of anything that I can regulate my internal emotions with.
I do have pretty intense periods of unhappiness, like depression. Intense sometimes. I also accept that I've had higher highs than most people on earth, probably.
1,000%.
You know, at 50 years old, I think there's a part of me that wants to be more in the center.
You know what I say? You got to
Fuck
learn to. No, my goal in life's to live between 3 and 7, which is almost impossible.
But man,
Yeah, 10 feels
those
good.
Ten's so
those
nice.
highs are like so insane.
Yeah.
So no, I get it.
But as you get older, you start recognizing to yourself, for me, what goes up comes down. Occasionally, and I'll look at my wife or whoever I'm with and be like, oh, I'm at a 9 right now. But I didn't manipulate the system to get to the 9, and I just accept it as a gift. I'm no longer engineering. That's not true. I still get caught doing it. I fucking relapsed 2 years ago. I'm like, you know what? It's time for a fucking 10. I've had 15 years of 7s.
Yeah, you know, people need to mess up to learn, though, sometimes. I think until you totally learn something, you just keep screwing up. However you want to pronounce it. You
Yeah.
get that lesson again.
I don't know if you're like this. I'll go, this whole thing's kind of funny. I'm on Earth one time. Maybe I want a 10 before I die again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
open
yeah,
to the
yeah.
idea that I don't accept that this, But,
But also, it is interesting that you say you're one of the rare people who's experienced a 10. So a 2, for someone who's only living at 5, a 2 is not that drastic of a drop. If you've experienced the high, the low feels way lower.
Yeah, it
It's
does.
a longer way to fall.
Yeah, I've had lows that, phew, man. Yeah, I guess they do balance that things in some weird equation somewhere, but they suck.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
this is funny enough, perfectly my last question for you, which is, if you look at any other sports athlete, depression's immediately after retirement. It's almost, you're going to be in the 90% likelihood you're going to get depressed.
Yes and no. I can always go surfing somewhere great, and that fills me up pretty good.
Right.
10s usually come along with contests, but like I can get 9s a few times a year.
Okay.
Like
That'll do.
I mean, it's close.
Yeah, that'll do, Peg.
I just think that the highest couple of highs I've had have been because you have failure, then you have success, and it lines up, and you can't believe, oh my God, how did the universe give me this?
Yeah.
Well, last year when you won Pipeline, you're getting interviewed. It's in the season 2, episode 1.
Yep.
You say this is the most important. I don't know the word you use, but you go, this
It's
is the best one
yeah.
I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at your face, and I'm like, I 100% believe him right now.
People who've won a bunch of times can say that each time for the moment. But for the past year, I've had grown men come up to me and go, I was crying when you won that.
Yeah.
Because I'm 50. My best friend, Shane, he came over and he was like in tears. I've never seen Shane cry of anything. I've never seen him cry when his kids were born or, And he's like, I was bawling. And a bunch of my friends that don't really show that side were just like, man, I was in full tears and I just was celebrating.
Because it's hopeful for everyone, that it makes everyone feel like I can still do
My life
something.
didn't end 10 years
Yes.
ago.
Yeah, I hate to see people in their 30s who are not doing their thing, not eating good, not taking care of themselves, not taking time for themselves or their whatever it is that fulfills them.
Yeah.
And then they're just in this job they don't love and they just have kids that are nagging and they don't know how to address the family right.
Yeah.
This happens because it's just
Yeah.
patterns from our families and from past generations and all this stuff coming forward. I think it's important that people have their outlets and take time to and for themselves. There are people that are super selfless and just give and give and give. There just has to be some solace totally for yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
And surfers are probably a little bit selfish, like, oh, you got in my way on that wave, you ruined my day.
Yeah.
And I'm still getting paid to go ride waves. Like, I can laugh about that.
So you're not afraid of retirement, it sounds like.
I don't think so. I can't say that 100%. My brother sent me some weird text the other night, and I was all pissed off, like, quit bothering me with this shit. And I texted his wife, and I just said, hey, what's going on with my brother? Like, does he talk to you about this? And she goes, you know what? I think he's really missing the old times when he got to travel and experience these things, and he's not getting to do it now, and it makes him a little mad when other people do, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I was like, okay, I get that.
No,
I
I'm
didn't
sympathetic.
understand. I'm like, why did I get that text at this hour? Putting it on my shoulders.
Yes.
But he was really just trying to express, I miss all that, you know?
Yeah. And you can have
and it's
some
hard to say
sympathy
that.
for that.
Yeah, but it's hard as a guy.
Well, that's vulnerable.
It's
You gotta-
vulnerable,
yes.
especially to your like younger brother.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
My brother would never send that text.
I probably wouldn't to him either. You know, figure it out. I just yelled at you. You tell me what's wrong.
In fact, can I please, for 1 second, I'm going to read you this exchange with my brother this morning. What are you doing? Oh, I say, I'm in Hawaii. What are you doing there? I'm going to interview Kelly Slater. He said, oh, guy was the Jack Nicholson of surf. I could be wrong, but I think he had a shark encounter about 4 years ago, whatever. I'm a big fan. Ask if he has some time to give me a lesson. That was a joke. Then he gets nervous. It's a joke. I said, yeah, I'm probably not going to ask him to do that. He said, yeah, but then you could say, so Kelly Slater and I were surfing in Hawaii, and he looks at me and says, ... And then I finish the text, ... How did I end up here? I'm the most decorated athlete of all time, and I have to waste an hour of my life watching this roided out 50-year-old go for a swim.
Jesus. There's a lot to unpack right now. I mean, he was the Jack Nicholson of surfing got attacked.
Nicholas.
Of surfing got attacked.
Nicholas.
Jack
Yes.
Nicholas. It was
Yeah, so he
misspelled.
got that.
I think you probably voice dictated.
I've said Nicholson before when I meant to say Jack Nicklaus. And no, I didn't get attacked by a shark. That was Mick Fanning, and he didn't really get attacked. He got kind of swatted by a shark. It was really interesting. I was surfing as Mick in South Africa at Jeffreys Bay. We have a live webcast that goes around the world, you know, in our events. And he and I were in the semifinal, and I had the best ride of the heat. We judge on 2 rides. He had the second and third best ride, so he was ahead of me. I needed a really good score to win the heat, but I had priority. Priority means you get any wave you want for a period of time. The other guy can't mess with you. So I'd been sitting with priority for 7 or 8 minutes, and now there's about 3 or 4 minutes left. And I'm like, gosh, I've waited so long. At some point, I got to catch a wave. I got to commit to a wave and ride that wave.
Yeah.
And so this one came, and my gut was telling me no, but I was like, I'm just going to try. And I caught that wave. It wasn't very good. A minute later, a much better wave comes. Mick gets it. He beats me. That was the second semifinal. Between the semifinal and the final, they had a half an hour break. So I had surfed for a half an hour with Mick. I stayed in the water for the next half an hour, and I surfed basically by myself with maybe 3 other people who paddled out. Then they say, clear the water. We're going to start the final. As I hit the beach, I look out, jet skis and boats going right over to the surfers. And I said, there's only one reason that would happen. That'd have to be a shark. Because I couldn't hear the commentators because I was down the point and the speakers were aiming outward. The camera had zoomed in on Mick as the shark gets stuck in his leash, about a 12-foot great white, and it starts flapping all around. We don't know exactly, but we estimated probably about a 12-foot shark. And with the tail, it slaps him in the face. It
Did knock him
bites his
out?
leash and cuts his leash and pulls his board away from him about 20 yards. And Mick's just swimming in the water.
I'm surprised he didn't get knocked out.
So the boats and skis zoom in and grabbed him. And
Wow.
it was wild.
Oof.
It was,
Do you just ignore the shark aspect? You just don't even think about it?
yeah, it's not a big deal. It's like running a marathon with lions. It's nothing.
Sure,
Yes.
yeah. Who gives a
Who
shit?
cares?
Yeah. We basically have accepted that as part of our fate. You're not going to be able to know where they all are.
Since you're so powerless over that, you have no say in whether or not you have an interaction. Why dedicate a second of your time thinking about it? I mean, is that the mindset?
You have fear, and there's certain places you just don't go surf. Like you would not go and surf Plettenberg Bay in South Africa because there are more great whites there than anywhere on earth. 2 people were killed there in the last year, and one was wading in water about knee deep, and a shark got her a couple months ago.
my
The other person was ocean swimming, and got whacked. There's been a bunch of attacks there, lost legs and arms, and people dying, but very few people surf there. I took my girlfriend there last year. There's a big peninsula, 2 kilometers out in the ocean, and it's a vertical cliff on one side, and you look down, there's great whites everywhere. You walk up, if you want to see great whites, you go to Plet,
Just take a
you
stroll down
park,
that.
and you walk 3 minutes, and you're looking at great whites.
Oh, my
So
God.
we
And
walked there,
people surf there?
and we sat for about an hour. We probably saw 8 to 10 great whites.
Oh.
And right there, right where that peninsula meets the beach, there's a wave called the Wreck. It's like a little fun wave, apparently, but I just don't think I'd ever surf it. And I was surfing with a guy at Jeffreys Bay where the thing happened with Mick, and he goes, I'm from Plet. I'm like, do you surf there? He goes, oh, yeah, we do. Man, one day we were out there surfing, and this giant like 15-foot or bigger great white came up at my friend. And as it came up to his board, my friend just kind of moved his board and pushed his face off to the side, and the shark just swam off.
There's something weird with their
not-
nose, right? I mean, if you can get
There
something
is, but there's also something like in nature, if you see your predator, if you spotted them, the game has changed.
Right.
So like same with sharks. If you see a shark, face the shark.
Ugh.
Don't swim away frantically.
Yeah.
Do not. You're a mouse to a cat. You got to face that thing. You just have to.
Yeah.
And everything's telling you to run and go away, but you're not going to outswim a shark. You're not going to out paddle a shark. So if you see a shark, just face it. And I haven't seen thousands of great whites, but I've seen thousands and thousands of sharks in my lifetime, and
You just
I've
look
never
right at
been
'em.
bitten.
Wow.
So, but they're mostly small.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah.
there's 300 kinds of sharks. There's something in 300 or 400 kinds of sharks on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
There's only about 4 that you worry about: oceanic white tip, great white tiger, and bull sharks. It's 4 of the hundreds of types of sharks.
Yeah.
The hammerheads.
Giving the rest of the sharks
Hammerheads
bad
are rarely
names.
most black tips, reef sharks. They'll bite you if you bump into them in the murky water.
But they're not hunting you. They're not trying to eat you. Kelly, this was awesome. Is there a goat you're obsessed with? Do you have the same fascination with the goats that we do?
I've been super inspired by a lot of people. I mean, Brady recently
Unreal.
has been great to watch him and what he's done. Tiger throughout almost my whole career. You know, he started about 5 years after me, but I've been super inspired by him. Lance Armstrong as well.
Yeah.
I mean, look, obviously he went through the whole doping thing. Show me a guy who wasn't doping.
Yeah.
He was the
yeah,
best
yeah,
of the dopers.
Yeah.
You know, there was some sort of even playing field.
I watched
But-
a great doc where they were like, the Tour de France, the biking world, they were renegade outcasts. They
Yeah,
were
they were ahead of the curve on
They
the
were doing
blood doping.
speed in the 70s. Like, they've never been some polyandry organization to begin with. Once it got so famous, it got a different lens.
Yeah,
They've always
it's-
been renegades.
But no, I get inspired. I mean, I went and watched Kobe play a number of times, got to meet him once or twice. Jordan was like right through the beginning of my career.
when you're watching Last Dance, this will it'd be so hard for you to acknowledge, but are you hearing him say things where you're like, oh my God, this fucking guy gets it? You're not bragging. You're
Yeah,
just
no,
being
it's
honest.
uncanny, some of the thoughts that run parallel in the way
Yeah.
you think about things. What really struck me in that Last Dance was that, you know, when he put this training camp together when he was shooting the movie and all those guys showed up to come play with him
Oh, yeah.
in LA, he was studying them and they all allowed it.
Yeah.
I guess they were studying him too. You know,
Yeah.
so he saw everyone's tells and tendencies.
Free.
They were offering him
He went into the war room.
the war room.
Yeah, looked at all their plans.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. But they would have thought the same thing. Hey, we're going to see Jordan and play with him.
Right.
I think he saw things from a different place. Jordan is just on a different level of intensity and focus and obsession
Yes.
about it. I think there's been times I felt that. I don't feel that the same way these days. I had an intense obsession way beyond anyone else through the 90s, for sure. Maybe that no one's ever felt in surfing.
Is it not fun to be around you when you're peak?
I don't know. So I think some of my friends thought not. Hey, can I just go to the bathroom real quick?
Yeah.
And then let's finish up.
Yeah. Okay, I'll land it right. Yeah, go ahead. Great picture, Lincoln Tuck.
Oh, cute. Yeah, she did good.
She didn't take too
She
many.
did good. She followed instructions.
Oh my God, she was taking pictures for a long time. She's like 4.
She was probably waiting for the moment. That's exactly what she was supposed to do.
Oh my God.
You said one of both of us, one of you, one of me, and one him. She did it.
2 pics of Kelly. Oh, what a sweetie.
Half a gallon of water in the morning with this, yeah.
And that juice, don't forget that
A
juice.
couple of those.
Is that what you're doing, a half gallon?
No, I don't know how much.
What's your
but
weird
a lot.
thing?
My weird thing?
Yeah, you asked me what I was eating, which makes me know that you're neurotic about how you eat. Too.
Oh,
What's
no,
your
I just-
Are you keto?
I'm kind of been keto, like fats and proteins.
I want to
lately.
try it.
Yeah, well, I started off by fasting for 4 days on water.
Oh, God.
Yeah, water fasts I think are incredible.
Well, how many days will you do?
I did 4 recently. I've done 3 a few times. I've done 5 or 6 before. I'd like to do about a week and see how I feel. I love health stuff. I do get obsessive here and there about diet when I really want to see how the body is acting and functioning in different ways. So I've done Master Cleanse before for like 10 days.
Did you get the mucoid plaque out?
I did.
You did.
It's freaking unbelievable.
You know, there's a lot of people.
Do you know
who say-
about this?
No,
if
what's
you
that?
read about it, there's a lot of people who say that the cleanse itself gives you the mucoid plaque. There's no real mucoid plaque.
No, I totally.
you're a
I'm
subscriber.
100% positive. I disagree because.
Well, you get it. There's no question. It's just, did you have it prior to the diet, or does all that acid make it?
No, there's no way acid could make something that's hard. It's like
Wait,
tire
what is
rubber.
what is
inner
the
tube?
deal?
So if you don't eat and you just hydrate your colon basically for long
And a
period
ton
of
of
time.
lemon.
All this lemon, cayenne, and maple syrup.
Your intestines will molt like a snake, right?
When you take a bite of food, your tongue instantly knows what you're eating, right? And then your body reacts to it a certain way, and it sends different digestive juices down to deal with that as you eat it.
Yeah.
But your body also creates mucus to protect. If you eat too many foods and doesn't know how to deal with it, your body will create essentially more mucus, and it kind of envelops your food. And as that goes through, that gets stuck on your cell walls. So there's stuff stuck in your gut for your whole life, basically. And until you stop eating for a long period of time, that stuff won't come out. I started getting it out in about 4 or 5 days. I didn't have a full 2 weeks. I only had about 10 days to do it. I was drinking a couple of Smooth Move teas a day.
Okay.
Like
this is ratchet
over
up
the over the top, and I was doing a salt flush every morning.
Wow.
I just kind of put some kerosene on the
Put your foot on the gas.
on the gas, yeah. and
Hit the nitrous button.
And I started. I mean, this is like.
No, we love it.
It's so funny because it's
we
like
talk about
it's,
poop on here
all
more,
the
yeah,
almost
it's like,
more than any other
No,
topic.
it's like gross, but at the same time, everyone who starts to hear about it is like, oh my God, I want to do that.
Yes, exactly.
I started having things come out of my body that looked like my intestines.
yeah, right.
I'd seen it on
your
the web.
YouTube videos?
Seen it on the dark web. Very dark web. And I'd seen it and I'd heard about it and I'd read about it for years. And I was like, gosh, I want to do that, but it takes so much discipline, to commit to not eating food and to do this thing. And then to have the drive to keep going, especially if you do it by yourself and you don't have a friend doing it at the same time. But I remember going to the restroom and then I looked and I was like, oh my God, it's happening.
Oh,
yes. I was like so excited.
Sure.
And I was like, I just pooped out my intestines.
Oh my God,
But it's like,
crazy.
it looks like what you see in like a medical book of your intestinal shape because this stuff has been stuck in there.
Ooh.
So you don't absorb all the nutrients that you take in. You just don't. Your
Right.
body is caked with stuff in there.
I'm going to be on record because Bree did it.
Oh,
I've read a lot of the response to that diet from the medical community. I personally think something different's going on. I just want to be on record.
There's
saying
two
that.
opinions
But it's
here.
fine.
What do you
I can
think's
give a
going on?
shit. I don't think your body has stuff stuck on the inside of it. First and foremost, I think your body's absolutely perfect of ridding itself of toxins. People that are obsessed with toxins, that's what your livers and kidneys are doing. And no, I don't think there's not 2 pounds of red meat stuck in the average American's colon. I think that's all horseshit.
I don't think that it's necessarily red meat.
Right.
I just think it's residue. You can wash your pan off with water, and all the shit doesn't come off it. You know what I mean? You got to scrub that thing.
I know, but your pan is not an organism that is evolved.
Your pan also isn't hormonally evolving now because you're eating 50 foods at one meal and 70 ingredients or whatever it is. We used to eat like one meal a day of like one thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe you'd find some berries. But now you're eating a meal that might have over 100 ingredients
from all
in
over
it.
the world.
Yeah.
From all over the world.
That you
yeah.
haven't developed
Out of
any
season, all that
Yes.
stuff. So our bodies haven't had enough time in the last 100 years to evolve to that. Our hormones are changing. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I think the fasting's super important. And I would disagree with you.
Okay, and that's great, and I respect you. And so my fringe thing is, so I have psoriatic arthritis. I have an autoimmune disease. I cannot have it. It's quite easy. I just have to eat a very exact diet.
Yeah,
and
you
then
should
I
go
don't
on
have
an
it.
AIP, anti-inflammation protocol.
I've done the Ayurvedic cleanse. I've done all the stuff. So what I believe, it doesn't matter that it's called psoriatic arthritis. It's
No.
an autoimmune. They're all the same.
Yeah.
Almost everyone's allergic to some of the food they're eating. They have
Absolutely.
No fucking clue. I think that's the root cause.
I heard of a woman who was allergic to lettuce. Took her 20 years
believe
to
it.
find it
Yeah,
out,
why
and it
would
was
you ever-
causing havoc in her body.
Well, I'm telling you, for the 150,000 years that we've been a species, we've only had lettuce for 2,000 of those years. So yes, do I believe that there are many people that are allergic to this
We've
thing we
only
didn't
had
have?
Skittles for like 30.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's the obvious ones. But even
And those are illegal in Europe.
are they?
Yes.
they
'cause
are.
the red dye and the yellows. Yes.
Really?
I read this yesterday.
Our main sponsor is Skittles.
You can, that's not live, right? I read the 10 foods that are illegal in other countries that
Oh,
are legal
wow.
in America.
That's wild, isn't it?
crazy.
Yeah. It's not quite as interesting as books that are legal, but, you know.
Yes. That's more serious. So we'd have more overlap than we would have disagreement, I think. I think we're
Yeah, no,
probably a
totally.
concert. Yeah.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
I think we're both, look, it's back to the addiction thing. I'm a control freak.
Oh, we've all got some control issue for
So
sure.
the
I do.
diet, anything I can exact my will on, I'm going to do and I'm attracted to.
Like a child? Like a child?
No, I'm
No,
pretty,
just-
that's about the only thing I'm doing well, I think.
She felt like a little free will. I like her.
Yeah.
She's wild. She rides a dirt bike. She
Yeah.
rides razors. She's
Cool.
kick-ass. She wouldn't surf, though. I was bummed out.
She said
I
the
could
sharks.
take her surfing. I
She's
could take
scared
her. I
of
could
it.
get her.
You think you could?
Yeah, I'll get her out there.
Because we're watching that thing, and everyone we're meeting on the show, as we're watching Make or Break, it's like Formula One. There's no Formula One driver that didn't start karting by at least 7 7 years old. That's like the cutoff. And a couple years ago, I go, baby, we got to get you in a cart if you're going to be an F1 driver. Like, it's this
They
ship
say
sailing.
no one has perfect pitch unless they get it by 6.
I believe it.
Oh, that's
I believe it.
interesting.
Yeah, so I told her, latest I heard in Make or Break is kids starting at 10. TikTok, when we're in Hawaii, you got to get out on a surfboard. You're going to miss your window. She's like, I'm not doing it. She's afraid of sharks. Any rate, really quick, just because I feel like you might relate. Do you find yourself earning things? Do you have this system in your head where it's like, I get to earn
I do this,
my
I can have that chocolate.
Whatever thing,
Rewards.
reward. Do you have the system of sacrifice
that's
and reward?
conditioning. You're psychologically conditioned.
I'm so susceptible to that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I thought
I can't think of them offhand, but I mean, it does happen a little bit here with food. I like desserts, I like ice cream, I like sugar. As I read about it more and more, my desire for it disappears.
Yeah.
I've been listening to this doctor from Orlando, is an Eastern Indian guy, and he highly recommends fasting and intermittent fasting and keto diet for all sorts of things. He's a cardiologist. Hours and hours of listening to him talk about different aspects of diabetes and insulin levels and hormonal change in the body. And he was the one who brought that to my attention, that we're hormonally evolving now. We're not genetically evolving like we used to because it was over long periods of time.
Kelly, we were supposed to have 90 minutes of your time. We got over 2.5
stole.
hours, and
All right.
we really, really appreciate it. This has been awesome getting to chat with you. You'll hate this part, but you line up the goats. There's no one that's got 11 of anything. It's really bonkers. We both feel very, very lucky to have met you. It's mind-blowing what you've done.
Look, all the different outlets of sport and whatever. Like, I mean, Phelps has 26 gold medals or something. There's a windsurfer, which is an obscure sport in the world of all sports, but this guy Bjorn has like 23 or 26 world titles.
Oh, he does.
They have 3 different world titles in a year or something like that. There's a guy from my hometown who was in a certain style of taekwondo. He has 11 world titles in that taekwondo from my same hometown.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It's so weird. There's a name I'll throw out that maybe you don't even know, who's maybe the greatest in relation to all the other guys in his sport, a guy named Sir Donald Bradman, who was a cricketer. Like, what's the best batting average ever?
Right. Yeah, let's say 390 or 4. Yeah.
He had an 800.
So he's just 2x
He was
the
2x
place.
the second. He would average a century, which is 100 runs at bat. His last at bat in his career, he got like 8, and it brought him to 99.9. He just missed 100. He needed like 4 more to get 100 average for his whole. The next best guy ever in the history of the world is 50.
Oh, my.
He's that much better.
Yes.
And he grew up hitting a bouncy ball with a stick against a corrugated wall. So he just had this hand-eye.
That was
and he was a
unrivaled.
scratch golfer. But when you look to the world of sport, you can't compare different sports. You can't compare Muhammad Ali to Tyson. The styles are different. It was an evolutionary place where each guy was just the best at that time.
We just feel like we have bragging
I
rights
appreciate
now.
it. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm honored to be in the conversation.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. I hope I bump into you in real life so we can really obsess out together.
All right.
Okay. All right. Good luck. Are you competing tomorrow?
We won't surf tomorrow, but yes, this
Okay.
week I am.
Okay.
Maybe
Sending
Monday or
good
Tuesday.
vibes.
Okay. Give them another insane episode
Okay.
for season 4.
You know what? I told you I don't obsess the same way. I don't know how the season's going to go. My stated goal is I'd like to make the Olympics for 24 in Tahiti. There's a long road between here and there, and my results in the last 2, 3, 4 years haven't been enough to do that. I started getting some good sort of motivation and feelings the last few days.
Oh, good.
And so I'll just see how I go, and if I can apply myself in that same obsessive way, in a healthier way personally, I'll see if I can get to that place.
All right. Wonderful. We're rooting for you.
Thanks.
All right. Be well.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman.
Okay. I had earmarked something.
Uh-huh.
And I want your thoughts as well.
Okay.
Have you seen these really cute videos with Wobby Wob and Rachel Bilson?
I saw one pop up, but I couldn't listen because I was in an appointment. So I saw it, but I couldn't play the sound.
Okay. I think you should take schedule to watch them all. Was there 3?
There's been a couple, yeah, that we've
But
done.
the one I just saw was like 3 in a row, maybe. It was famous scenes from other movies. When Harry Met Sally, the orgasm scene. I was watching
Great
it in front of my family. I had to turn it down really low.
Yep.
And then Say Anything, famous. She shows up with the jam box, boom box, whatever you want to call it, ghetto blaster.
And I play Keira Knightley.
Amazing.
No, she's not in Say Anything.
Or no, sorry, that was
That's way
Love
too-
Actually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then you did Love Actually. Yeah. So Wobby Wob
has a better acting career than both of us. He's in two-handers in rom-coms with Rachel Bilson.
That's right.
And when I watch them, I'm overwhelmed with how cute Wobby Wob looks on screen. Really cute sweater in that second.
Ooh.
That was Rachel's.
Was it?
Yeah.
You need to wear that.
Wait, what was it?
She's a white sweater that said "Wow."
Oh, cool.
So cute. He looks so cute. And it's like I kind of know he does something with Rachel, but I'm shook when I see that he and Rachel have this special relationship where they make videos together.
Well, you have a
I guess I'm
podcast, right?
jealous. I'm jealous in ways.
Okay.
I feel like he's cheating on us a little bit because he has this exciting life
Sure.
with this leading lady that doesn't involve us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
What do you think about it?
I think
Be honest.
well, I guess I feel like I'm in a weird position
Okay.
because I'm not jealous.
Okay.
And then that seems bad that I'm not
Oh,
jealous.
no. You're not mad she's not jealous.
No, it's okay.
Like,
Right,
I
I prefer you
relieved.
not to.
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
safe that we're priority.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So-
I think I'm jealous. Like, I've never been in a scene with Rachel Bilson.
Wait.
So you're
okay.
jealous of me?
Yeah. Jealous of you.
You're jealous
think
that
is the
he gets to
good.
spend time with Rachel.
Well, just that they're scene partners, you know?
You've had a lot of really good scene partners.
Incredible. Just because I've had more than my fill doesn't mean I would not get jealous
I
of
see.
Wobby Wob.
Okay.
Right?
Sure. Well, now I am upset.
Now you're jealous? No,
Yeah,
now you're mad at
I'm
me.
jealous. Yeah, now I'm jealous, but I can't figure out of what.
You're jealous of my jealousy somehow.
What it is.
I would love.
Okay.
I'll make some videos with you if you want.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Okay. I would
They're
love
fun.
that. Okay.
Look what you've signed yourself
but
on to.
really, I'm just
Good job.
being cute. I'm not actually upset. I'm delighted.
Oh, me too.
And I think it's hilarious that
I need to go back and watch with sound.
you must.
Yeah.
He does a great job. I said to him,
I don't doubt it.
You're leaving radio and getting into film, which is the normal trajectory.
Sure.
And we left film and we're now getting into radio.
That's right.
So
although
we're
I'm not giving
crossing-
up on film, I'm still interested in that SAG insurance. I don't want to take it off the table.
Yes, for sure.
Are you guys paying
But our main
people
commitment.
SAG for these videos? Because I
You'll
will
appear in them?
appear if you'll pay
If
my
it goes
rate.
through the union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like one hour dick around on Saturday morning videos.
I'll
They're
take it.
really good. Oopsies. We got a bit of a panic on my doorstep right now, which is, as you know, they don't sell my chewing tobacco anymore. In California, it's illegal
Yeah.
to sell flavored chewing tobacco. And Kristen's dad had sent me like 3 logs at Christmas of it, which was great. And then I'm like, well, they'll run out. But I am going to Colorado,
Oh,
where I will be able to get more.
okay, yeah.
But I'm not going to make it. I now have some shreds in here, and it's a little bit of a, ticking time clock here.
So you have to make a decision.
I know.
Yeah.
Quit or go get some other weird product. I mean, we know what the right answer is, just whether or not I'll pursue that answer. Yeah.
Okay, there was an Easter egg from last time, which was because this is Kelly Slater.
Oh, it is? Oh. I got to say, I've been asked more about, what's he like? Have you?
A lot of people ask, yeah.
Yes, more
Yes.
than like in general when we interview people.
Yeah.
They'll just they'll hear that and then they don't have many what's he like? But I've gotten a lot of what's he like.
Yes, agreed. Okay, but the Easter egg was because you were talking about fun days in your life and you were saying Ed Sheeran in London. Now, we did say on this episode that this was the first time we traveled for a guest. That's
is true.
It's true, but we have interviewed people.
While we were away.
Yes.
Yeah, but we've never flown somewhere specifically to interview somebody, barring live shows, you could argue as well. We're flying somewhere to interview someone.
Right.
But yes, this is the first of this.
This is the
variety.
first of that, but we did London, New York. We've done some. But yes, this was the first time that we went specifically. And it was great.
I got to say, maybe it was in the episode, but the very kind people at Apple
were so helpful to us. We got there and there was a sofa and 2 chairs and like little sound curtains. And they tried to set it up as much as they could, like the attic, and they made a lot of effort. I thought you and I were going to be in a conference room on 3 folding chairs.
I know.
And it was going to be very weird.
Yeah, and it was beautiful.
Cavernous. I was afraid it was going to be cavernous.
Yeah, we were a little worried about sound, but it was perfect because we were at Turtle Bay.
Yes.
And it was, it's an incredible hotel, but it's a hotel. So we're like, we don't know what we're
What
in
are we going to
for.
get?
Yeah.
And we thought if we invited him to one of our rooms, he would be nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he should have been.
I do wish we had some sounds of the
Ocean.
water. Yeah.
Well, so that was pitched to us that we could have perhaps, although it was dicey weather. It rained most of the time we were there.
It rained a lot, yeah.
Yeah. So probably couldn't have done it. But then I thought, is that something that would be cool to have in the background? Or would it get annoying after a couple hours? This goes back to my overall thoughts about living on the ocean. Some people are so attracted to living on the ocean. Many people here in California, they live in Malibu.
Yep.
Let me ask you your thoughts about living on the ocean.
No desire.
No desire. And for what reason?
I'm not a water baby. You know this. So
You're
I'm
not positive you can swim.
Yeah. I just don't need that in my life. I like vacations where I'm around it, but I just don't need to wake up next to the ocean every day.
I love a lake, and I actually do like when you occasionally hear the lapping of the water on the shore. But relentless waves, particularly where we were at, it was great for a week.
Yeah.
Very dramatic. But the
Yes.
waves were fucking enormous.
They were.
And they were endless, relentless, not terribly calming to me. A lot of people find that really calming. I start getting obsessed with the notion, wow, that noise will never stop. Like that's for eternity, that noise.
Yeah.
That I get real squirrely about that.
Yeah. It's a little
Like
claustrophobic.
there's never going to be a moment of silence.
Yeah. Yeah, that's scary.
It makes me feel claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And you could die. It's a sound that could kill you
That
a little
is
bit.
true.
Especially these waves. Well, look, while we were there,
Huge.
there was a 50-foot wave. The eddy was surfed.
Yeah. That was a big deal.
Biggins.
Lifeguard.
Right
runner.
after that, we got home and someone fucking surfed. I think it's in Portugal, that crazy wave. There was a documentary about it. It's really good. 110-foot wave.
No.
Yeah, you should see the picture of the guy. He's a speck
Oh my
on this enormous building, 10-story building he's riding on the side of.
Wow.
I want to say it was a record.
Wow.
Matador? No, that's a different maybe. I don't know shit about surfing, Monica. I think it was pretty obvious during the interview.
I don't think you have to know everything about the sport.
No.
It's okay.
But sport does become this real obvious test of masculinity all the time. Like it is such a gauge of your masculinity. Like if you don't know about football and guys are talking about football, I think most guys in that situation, they feel a little emasculated.
Yeah.
There's so many sports, I know just enough about football maybe to not feel crazy. Just enough about baseball. I don't know much about many sports.
I mean, how would we rank them? We'd say football is
the most masculine,
Yeah.
generic, stereotypical.
Yeah, in America, yes. So I guess then if you didn't know about baseball, I guess.
Yeah. And then probably basketball.
I think I might flip those.
Yeah, I would maybe flip those two.
Okay, let's flip them.
Okay.
It's just
I think culturally basketball has been more significant.
current.
Currently.
But I think historically,
Yeah.
baseball has been the national sport, the national pastime.
Yeah.
Babe Ruth. Very few people know the Bill Russells of the basketball world.
Yeah, it's not so much about how important it is. It's the reflection of masculinity.
Yeah.
Of whether you know stuff or not.
Yeah.
I feel like men feel like they have to know a little bit about what's going on in basketball.
They do. Yeah. It's a funny thing because women, right, you don't feel any urge to know about any sport.
No.
It's so silly. So even I picked up enough stuff from watching the doc, but then the other night at dinner with Ryan and Charlie, they were asking, what's he like?
Yeah.
And then they started talking about surfing. It's just they knew so much more
They
than I did.
knew.
Oh, yeah, because they're from San Diego.
Oh, right. Right.
And they both surfed.
I think a lot of people don't know about surfing and don't
Yeah.
know the specifics of it. So
I think you're right.
yeah, I think you're fine. But it is really interesting once you start learning about it.
Yes.
I enjoyed that.
Again, though, I would really have a very hard time in life committing to a sport that relied on judges scoring. That just scares me.
I know.
Well, like racing, there's no question.
But you liked skateboarding, and that's that.
Yeah, I do like skateboarding.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I like all those sports. As far as committing my life and my livelihood to it, that part would make me nervous. That's not definitive.
Yeah. Okay, it should be known Lincoln took the pictures.
Oh my God, what a great thing to talk about.
Yes.
So
we brought her
cute.
to take pictures
She filled
for
in
us.
for Wobby Wob.
Yes. And we talked about it beforehand.
Uh-huh.
She had done some research.
She did. She went the night before.
And looked at some of the other pictures.
Yeah, and she knew what she had to get. But what was really funny and super cute
So cute.
was she was photographing for a while, a few minutes. Right? I didn't kick her out for like 3 or 4, 5 minutes maybe. Mm-hmm. She was moving about the area. And then I said, all right, thanks, buddy. And she left. And then when I got the camera, there was only one picture of each. I assumed she was taking lots and lots of pictures.
Yeah.
There was one picture of Kelly, and there was one picture of you and one picture of me.
In which we said that's what we need.
Yep.
So she followed instructions perfectly.
We should have told her, like, shoot
Get
like
a
crazy.
bunch.
Yes.
Yeah. But she was probably standing there to get like what she thought was the right, which I like. She did need to get it like at a good time.
Yes.
So I think she did great.
It was so sweet
Yeah.
and cute. But then when I saw right before we wrapped up, I noticed there was only 3
You
pictures.
got
So then I
nervous.
had to take a bunch of Kelly just from where I was sitting.
Yes. Yeah, you wanted some extras on deck. I think she killed it. He was in Biarritz surfing. He talks about Biarritz. And I was just in Biarritz.
Where is Biarritz?
Biarritz.
And it's not Biarritz?
It's called Biarritz. It is in France, but it's like on the border of Spain.
Okay.
So when we were in Spain, we drove to Biarritz.
You did? Mm-hmm. And what was Biarritz like?
It's a surfing town. Like it's it's really cute. Beach town.
Bohemian?
Yeah, but French and Spanish, like European. It's a very cool vibe. I liked it a lot. We spent the day there.
What kind of rental car did you have?
Oh,
Do
I
you
had
know?
diarrhea there.
You did? Congratulations.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And it was a bad situation because I had to like find a bathroom.
Sure. And were you letting them in on what was
My
going on?
IBS.
Yeah, were you telling them? No. You're just like, I got to pee?
I think I was like,
I gotta blow my nose. We gotta find a place for me to blow my nose quick.
I think I just was like, oh, I gotta
Find a
the
bathroom quick.
I didn't say quick.
Would've tipped
I
it.
didn't. Yeah, I don't want to give it away. Although now I seem perfectly fine talking about it.
Yeah.
It's when you're in it. It's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
But
a little
after
time.
it's fine.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Although some people don't have any problems saying that, but I guess it's in me. It's wired in me that is embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah, the trick is like you're not going to get out of being embarrassed. What you have to do, or what I do, is I fast forward to the fact that in 2 weeks I'll think this is funny.
Yeah.
I just have the faith that like this thing that's happening, I'm going to think is funny in 2 weeks. I might as well now. Might as well just fast forward.
It's so weird because I was with Callie.
Sure,
like of
you've
all
diarrhea in front of
people-
her a million times.
No.
I mean, you've
Not that she
lived
knows
together.
If you say it, is that going to make you need to do it more? Like, once you commit to needing to go poop, your body starts preparing for it.
It wasn't. It had already prepared. Like it was ready.
Yeah, it was in the chamber.
I had to go.
Where did you find?
I think I tried to get into a few restaurants, but
Oh, boy.
I started to get panicky.
Yeah.
And then I did finally find this bathroom in
At
this
a restaurant. Yeah.
I think I accidentally walked into the men's at first.
That's where you should do your diarrhea, in the men's.
I know.
Let's keep the ladies
But I
clean.
couldn't. And then everyone laughed because they're European and they laugh at you. And then I had to
You
stand
thought you were a
in
Montfrere,
line.
but you're a Monsieur.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I had to stand in line. I mean, that is the this is the test of your body.
Rectal strength. Yeah. Your fortitude. But no accidents.
No,
Okay.
no accidents.
I don't want you to have an accident because I don't want you to be sad, but I really want you to have an accident.
No.
Yes, because it'll be such a great story.
I know you.
Think how much you like other people's accident stories.
I mean, sure, but I think you live your life for stories a little more than I do.
Yeah, probably. I think so.
And I think it's okay to not.
Yeah, sure.
So
Yeah, that's a good assessment. Yeah, I agree.
So anyway, I just remember that. I had totally forgot.
Yeah.
But Biarritz,
That's your main memory of the place?
and I really wanted this olive oil. Callie and Max convinced me not to buy, and I was pretty mad at them. But they were like, it's going to spill in your luggage, and like, you can probably get that at home. And I was like, no, I want this.
Yeah.
And then I listened to them, and they were right.
Oh, good. You're not
I've seen it
resentful.
like out here a lot
Oh, okay, great.
at like Sur La Table.
Yeah, sure.
So it was the right decision.
Kind of pedestrian olive oil at the end of the day. Yeah.
But I thought it was fancy. Oof, I can get swindled, you know.
By now, I've gone to the Monster Jam in Anaheim. I just
That's
wanna add
right.
that.
You have.
Yes, and I've gone, and I took Lincoln and Ace and Hank, and now
Who's Hank?
Henry, Lincoln's best friend.
Oh,
Yes. First time I had the wherewithal to say, "Oh, would you like to bring a buddy?" You know, she's got that age now where maybe she wants to bring a buddy.
Yep.
And then all the times I went, my mom, she did end up taking me to the monster trucks and the truck bowls and mud bogs. It was a birthday present, but I primarily went with my friend Clay and his dad because they went a lot. And so grateful I got invited because I wanted to go so bad.
Yeah.
So now we brought Henry. This is past tense.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
He had the best time of his entire
Oh,
life. Yeah.
wow. Best day of his life.
And then Sonny and Clay joined last week.
Oh,
yeah, Clay and his son. Yes.
Anything memorable happen?
Yes. Well, I was the Grand Marshal. I don't know if I told you that.
yeah.
I am the Grand Marshal.
Wow.
Yeah, Saturday night I'm the Grand Marshal.
So what does that mean? What do
I
you
think
do?
I waved some flags
Oh
and
my God.
kicked the thing off. Yeah.
Cool.
Some of the past Grand Marshals they sent me were Chris
Hemsworth?
no, the big your favorite, Pratt. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And
Nice.
then listen to this. You know how I've been wanting to go to SoFi so bad?
Yep.
Well, Monster Jam's going to SoFi in April, and I'm gonna go and get to drive the monster truck.
Wow.
They're gonna let me drive one. So that's exciting.
I wonder what that's going to feel like.
Driving the monster truck?
Yeah.
My understanding of it is like you drive in a big bungee contraption. Like it's too much downforce upon landing these big jumps. They're in like full bungee.
You're going to jump?
I doubt they're going to let me jump,
Oh my
but you know, if it's
God.
even slightly an option, I'm going to try.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
Yeah, of course. I want to wheelie. I want to jump.
Oh, Jesus.
I want to do a helicopter.
Oh my God. Okay. He mentioned that Giselle said he can't catch it also.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Did you
didn't,
find that?
yeah, I guess it was a issue. Like,
Sure. They always try to make an issue out of the women saying anything. Like, remember when, you may or may not remember this, but Aaron Rodgers was dating,
Shailene Wood.
Yeah,
no,
Shailene Woodley.
well, he's had a bunch of girlfriends, and every time he has one, if he does bad, they blame the girlfriend. This is like the most common thing. And then maybe Jessica Simpson was dating one of these quarterbacks for a while, and then he was doing bad, and it was her fault.
Of
Yeah,
course.
Jay Cutler and Kristen Cavallari.
Okay, is that also a thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess this was the Super Bowl 2012. So the Giants beat the Patriots.
Okay.
And I guess after the game, she was caught on camera defending him.
Which is sweet.
Yes. And she said, my husband can't fucking throw the ball and catch the ball at the same time.
If he could, they would be undefeated.
Yeah, so I guess I misunderstood when Kelly was talking about it. I thought she was saying, like, it's not a one-man sport. Like, he can't catch it. So it takes a team, like, in a way that's actually humbling of like, it's not just Tom. Everyone's a part of this.
Yeah, how do you interpret it now?
Well, now it's obvious she
He's
was mad.
perfect.
Yes.
And these bozos didn't catch his great passes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
Exactly.
it sounds like.
Which is pretty funny.
Well, look, when you're on a team, you can't throw anyone under a bus.
You can't.
You win together, you die together.
Exactly.
You lose. Yeah.
Although at my cheerleading competition, when a girl put her knees down, it was her fault, and we thought we were going to lose, and I was going to be really mad at her.
You were.
Yeah.
And do you think people would have blamed her to her face? Probably.
I think so.
Yeah, young girls.
I think we would have tried not to, but we wouldn't have been able to.
You would have
help
found
it.
a way to passive aggressively mention it.
Yeah, or just give her like.
Yeah,
I
or
did- I did
maybe
a
you
bad
said
face.
you would have said something like, "Listen, don't beat yourself up that you lost the match for us." So you'd be able to both tell her she lost it for you
Competition,
and act nice.
I would not do that.
Okay.
I'm not, or I wasn't like that then. Like, I'm not making people feel better.
Okay.
But I'm not like.
You're the
how
high flyer.
dare
You've
you.
got your duties
I have my
cut
own
out
issues.
well, you got your own work to worry about.
Yeah, it's like if I perform, I feel like everyone else has
You're not
performed.
in charge of team morale.
No, I'm
That's
not
not
the
your-
captain.
It's not your position. You're the high flyer. That's something I'd do in the time machine.
What?
Go to your state championship.
Aw.
And watch you fly through the air.
That would be sweet if you were there.
It's really kind of a counterintuitive thing because you're so safe.
I know.
And you're fearful of physical things.
I am.
It would be so wild for me to watch you do that.
I know. I think it might change your opinion of me somehow. Because I am. It is scary. But I care more about,
Victory.
yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I just don't swim and jump off.
Yeah, you're not trying to jump off
cliffs and
things
stuff.
you're not out skiing or
Well, I was in high
You
school.
were, yeah.
And I was hurting my knees back to, and you're out skiing right now.
that's right. I'm flying home right now from skiing.
Yeah.
Also. Oh,
I
I
hope
had a
it
great
went well.
trip.
Oh my
I had a great trip.
God. Such a fun trip.
Yep.
Anything memorable happen?
Yeah. Yes, Aaron shit his pants.
Oh, and he didn't mind telling you, of
He
course
was
not.
well. I learned he shit his pants because he was laughing so hard all of a sudden. I was
Sure.
like, "Why is he in the middle of the hill laughing so hard?"
Yeah.
And they said, "Dad, I just shit my pants."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a difference. I don't know if it's a gender difference or if it's just me. I'm sure it's just me. I'm sure it's both.
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows? Who can know? Anyway, well, that is that for Kelly.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah,
There was no big fackies.
not really. I do think he's very humble. That was my sort of takeaway. He really was not, even when you were saying, it's a solo sport, he was really trying to not accept that it was a solo sport, and it is.
It's a solo sport.
Yeah. But he really
Just
wanted.
to fact check him on
Yes.
that. It's definitely a solo sport.
But he's very impressive. He's 50 and winning stuff, and that's amazing. I mean, that is incredible.
In addition to him having the 11 titles, and he tried to downplay it because he is humble. It's very sweet, but it's really, Jordan has 6 championships.
Yeah.
You just can't really find. I think Bill Russell might have had 11 championships.
Sounds right.
But it's just unheard of. But the thing forget the championships, nobody was doing their sport at 50 and winning.
I know.
Yeah.
It
There's no
is.
Formula One driver there's never going to be a 50-year-old that's going to
No.
fucking take the checkered flag
I know.
at 50.
It's
Tom Brady was
incredible.
getting close to this is impossible. It's great. But still, he's 45.
Right.
Yeah, the 50 years old winning pipeline is really just something to be marveled at.
It really is. It's really cool when we get to talk to people who are on that level.
That for centuries, people will reference in history as the
Exact-
greatest surfer of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, Bill Russell got 11, but it was in 13 seasons. So it's still in a confined amount of time.
Oh, right. Now, the great thing about, by the way, have you watched the documentary about him? That's out? I haven't either, but I can't wait to start it. Do you know who Bill Russell is?
I mean, I know who he is. I don't.
He was a Celtics basketball player, probably the best basketball player of all time. He was playing in segregation. So they would go travel and he couldn't stay with the team.
Wow.
He couldn't go into places.
Oh, my
Like
God.
he played through that and was the best. But even crazier, it's the only time it's ever happened. He was the coach of the team while he was the player.
Oh my God.
He was coaching these championship teams and playing.
Wow.
That's the only thing that makes me
incredible.
sad is like you kind of, as much as we think like, oh, well, Jordan, no one will ever forget Jordan. It's
know.
like, well, no, we had Jordan. Really, we had Jordan times 2.
Why don't we do that?
I don't know. Well, luckily this documentary just came out. I haven't watched it yet, but I can't wait. But you know, yeah, someone like that person was more than Jordan.
Yeah.
And you don't know his name. Most 90% of people don't know his name.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the 50s and 60s. So maybe just time.
Yeah, that's just kind of sad.
Yeah.
It's like when Jay Leno was here saying he was watching them take down an Elvis statue.
Yeah, because people
They
didn't know.
didn't know who he was.
That's bonkers. I can't even wrap my head around that. People know Elvis.
Well, especially now because he's had a resurgence between the movie and the doc.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But look, we my nephews are here through marriage, and we're talking to Ben. He is a 16-year-old boy. Does not know who Angelina Jolie is.
No.
Yes, and I was like,
Wait, are you serious?
yeah, dead serious. When I came home last night, that's what they were talking about. The older sister was making fun of him. Kristen's like, we were talking that we don't have one known thing in common. He doesn't know who Angelina Jolie is. And I was like, man, this is getting stark from my perspective. Well, it's kind of the thing I was saying about the Super Bowl commercials and Caddyshack. I'm like, who knows about that that's watching this? Who's getting this?
So they did so many throwbacks this year, too. In the
They did. It was the year of throwbacks. One thing we didn't talk about that I want to address, I feel bad that we overlooked it in our debrief of the commercials, is I love him so much. What's his name? From Top Gun. Miles Teller. Did you see the Miles Teller commercial? You didn't, Monica? Will you pull it up right now?
Oh, sure.
I'm going to predict that what do you love him out of 10 right now before you do this?
Oh,
Be honest.
I like him a lot. 8.
An 8. Okay. Now I want you to watch this commercial, and then I want you to give me a score.
Okay.
I think he's one of the most attractive human beings on planet Earth.
Is it Bud Light?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The estimated hold time is now less than 96 minutes. We thank you for your patience.
Sorry, are you still there? Yes. Okay, please hold.
It's very cute.
Oh, he's so cute.
He's so cute.
Dancing.
He's so
Oh,
cute.
I love how he's dressed too. I love his Levi's, his worn out
Yes.
Levi's, and his sweater.
Yes.
And his dance moves are confident and fun.
They are. They are.
Oh my God, it had me swirling.
Wow.
Yeah, that one got me.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, Miles Teller, I see you.
I do. I like him a lot.
I see you, Miles Teller.
He's very charming.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, who is it?
That's a ding, ding, ding.
Is it Miles Teller?
Yeah.
Oh my God, let's see what he has to say.
He's calling to say he's hot.
Wait, who is it?
It was spam.
Oh, and it rings on your computer like that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, cool.
I think we've had this conversation like
I know.
7 times during the
It happens a lot. I get so many spam calls.
You're not, well, part of the reason I think,
I'm not deleting.
I don't want to be, I don't want to blame the victim. I don't want to victim shame here.
Sure.
But you got to take the time to block those. Because a lot of them are repetitive, I'm sure.
I did, and it just was never stopping. So I thought, why am I adding another layer of wasted time?
Yes. I just hit you with a theory yesterday,
Yeah.
and you didn't really buy in too much. Well, we know your opinion, but I would like to hear Wobby Wobs.
Okay.
It has crossed my mind because I have blocked at this point, for sure, over 1,000 numbers. I'm blocking them non-stop. First of all, people get my number, random people in America, because it's online. I'm blocking, I've thought over 1,000 numbers blocked. My thought is these numbers turn over. Like people don't always have numbers, especially these companies that are getting these numbers to robocall you. I think eventually someone that I really know is going to get one of these numbers, and then they're never going to be able to get through to me.
If you've got 1,000 blocked, that's true because it's usually area code based. Like I'll get spam calls from Chicago numbers, and that's why I know.
Yes, some friend of yours at some point
Yeah,
may
could
end
get
up with
that.
one of those numbers.
Yeah.
They're never going to be able to get a hold of you.
I can buy that.
They're going to.
Does it block text too? If you block that number?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny that you brought up Elvis because you also brought up Colonel Parker in this episode.
Oh, sure.
Because his manager was kind of
Was a Colonel Parker. He's trying to get him into show business real hard.
So funny.
Do you think he went and listened to the Pam interview?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious.
He said he hadn't talked to her in a long time, but
Yeah.
he was in touch with the sons.
And did he also say he's never listened to a podcast? Was he one of the many people?
He doesn't listen to them very
yeah,
much,
yeah.
but he has.
He knows what
He
they
knew
are.
what a podcast was.
Yeah.
I'm
A lot of our guests have never heard a podcast.
I mean, like 2.
Okay. That's not really a lot.
I don't think that's a lot. Out of a lot of guests.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Well, I hope you're having a safe flight home right now.
Thank you. Oh, it's
Is
nothing.
Aaron's meeting you there? I
He's
assume.
meeting me there.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. Have so much fun.
All right.
Bye.
Love you.
Love you.